ADBN, Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Hello, good morning, welcome and thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of our flagship program, Morning Express. It's another day to intimate you with developments in Nigeria and across the globe. Much like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has rescheduled his U.S. visit to visit flood victims in Maiduguri, pledging help. We'll talk about this most in-depthly, but let's first head over to our news desk as we join Peace Ogenegbawe for ADBN News at 7. Hello, Peace. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Bito. Good morning and welcome to ADBN News at 7. We bring up the latest headlines from across the nation and the world. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has disclosed the establishment of a National Disaster Relief Fund aimed at assisting Nigerians affected by floods and other natural disasters. President Tinubu, during a visit to Maiduguri, Borno State yesterday, pledged to create the fund in response to the devastating impact of the overflow of the Alau Dam. The president highlighted the urgent need for this initiative due to the unpredictable nature of climate conditions. President Tinubu emphasized the importance of private sector involvement and proposed that a portion of federal allocations be dedicated to supporting the funds. Senate President Godswill Akpabio, responding to the president's intervention, assured support from the National Assembly for the creation of the relief fund. Meanwhile, Sheikh of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garba El Kanemi, expressed gratitude to the president for his visit and urged an investigation into the cause of the dam's collapse to prevent future incidents. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has revealed that Dangote Refinery will commence sales of petrol in Naira from 1st October 2024. This revelation was made in a statement by NNPC's Limited's spokesperson, Mr. Olufemi Shoneye, who also outlined new pump prices for petrol across various states. Federal government has also established a technical committee to finalize the process of Naira-based oil transactions. NNPC has further increased the price of premium motor spirit, commonly known as petrol. The product will now be sold at 950 Naira 22 kobo per litre across all NNPC retail outlets in Lagos, up from the previous rate of 898 Naira per litre. The estimated pump price are based on the pricing set by the Dangote refinery. In northern Nigeria, consumers will pay more for petrol, with Borno State residents facing the highest pump price of 1,019 Naira 22 kobo per litre. The petroleum company emphasized that in accordance with the Petroleum Industry Act, petrol prices are negotiated directly between parties and not set by the government. The company confirmed paying Dangote Refinery in US dollars for September 2024 PMS offtake. Meanwhile, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has criticized NNPC Limited for selling petrol lifted from the Dangote Refinery at a higher price than imported ones. Adbn's National Welfare Officer, Mr. John Kekeocha, expressed confusion over the pricing strategy, questioning the benefits of the refinery's operation. Now let's move to issues on food inflation, where the National Bureau of Statistics new data has revealed significant variations in food inflation rates across different states in Nigeria for August 2024. Latest figures shows the year-on-year food inflation rate was highest in Sokoto, Gombe, and Yobe. Sokoto recorded an alarming 46.98% increase, followed by Gombe 43.25% and Yobe at 43.21%. These figures indicate a sharp rise in food prices compared to the same period last year. However, Benue, Rivers and Bayelsa State experienced the slowest year-on-year increases in food inflation, with Benue recording a 32.33% rise, Rivers 33.01% and Bayelsa 33.36%. On month-on-month basis, Adamawa, Kebbi and Borno topped the list as Adamawa saw the highest increase at 5.46%, followed by Kebbi at 4.48% and Borno at 3.88%. While Ogun, Akwa Ibom and Sokoto had the slowest month-on-month rises in food inflation, with Ogun reporting a minimal increase of just 0.08%, Akwa Ibom 0.45% and Sokoto 1%, showing some stabilization in food prices in these areas. Factors such as regional supply chain disruptions, varying agricultural productivity, and market dynamics were reported to have contributed to these inflation differences. Let's also have you know that the National Identity Management Commission has revealed that more than 110 million Nigerians have so far registered for their national identification numbers. The disclosure was made by Director General of the Commission, Mrs. Abisoyi Koka-Odushote, during the commemoration of the 6th National Identity Day in Abuja. Let's now join Ogudano Eniola, who has details of this report.
Mrs. Koka-Odushote highlighted the Commission's efforts to enhance identity infrastructure and management, revealing plans to upgrade digital public infrastructure to improve access to public services for Nigerians. She also called for international support to integrate innovative solutions aimed at enhancing the country's service delivery and social investment programs.
At the forefront of this transformation is NIMC, was responsible for the National Identification Number, and we have enrolled over 110 million Nigerians as of today. This provides a unique opportunity for the other two pillars of the DPI, data exchange and payment, to be layered on foundational identity for its effective development and adoption. I must say we are on the right path, and key strides are being made through collaboration and partnerships with government agencies and private sector players, linking of names and phone numbers with the telecommunication companies, name and bank verification number, harmonization with financial institutions to facilitate digital payments, digital money, digital identity, and digital processes, amongst others.
In his address, the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, praised NIMC for its ongoing reforms designed to combat identity fraud. He emphasized the ministry's commitment to collaborating closely with NIMC and the Nigeria Data Protection Commission to safeguard Nigerian data and address identity issues.
This is not going to be business as usual. As I always say, it's going to be this is an era of business unusual. And let me make this pledge here, because I saw the letter from Data Protection Commission. We will work with you, sir. And that is a pledge, because, as I said, as much as we must protect the interest of government, which has to do with the harmonization of identity under NIMC, we must also protect the interest of Nigerians, which has to do with the security of their own data. That brings the two of you together as twins.
The 6th National Identity Day aims to inform Nigerians about the federal government's strategies for better managing citizens' data to improve governance. From the nation's capital, Ogudano Eniola, Adbn News.
Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has reiterated commitment to promoting equal access to higher education, especially for persons with disabilities. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oluyede made this known during a news conference in Abuja ahead of the first African Regional Conference on Equal Opportunity of Access to Higher Education. Let's join Adbn education correspondent Adbn Ibanga for more reports.
The conference, with the theme Advancing the Potentials of Persons with Disabilities in Educational and Economic Development, aims to improve access to higher education for persons with disabilities and enhance learning environments in tertiary institutions across Africa. Joint Admission and Matriculation Board Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede emphasized education as a fundamental human right. He described the conference as a platform to address existing challenges and explore innovative solutions to bridge gaps in educational access for persons with disabilities.
It is not enough to simply open doors of opportunity. We must ensure that these doors are accessible to everyone, irrespective of the physical, sensory, or cognitive abilities.
Professor Ishak Oloyede underscored the importance of harnessing talents and contributions of persons with disabilities in shaping the future of society.
Education is the cornerstone of personal empowerment, economic development, and national growth. When we invest in inclusive education, we invest in a brighter, more equitable future for all.
The regional conference scheduled for 17th and 18th September will bring together participants from several African countries, including Ethiopia, Malawi, and Egypt, to discuss strategic initiatives for promoting inclusivity in the education sector. Adbn Ibanga, Adbn News.
In another development, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has disclosed plans to fully automate its services, reducing physical contact with candidates. The board's registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, emphasized the importance of this initiative, particularly as many candidates taking the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination are underage. The automation is intended to address issues of extortion and exploitation by limiting in-person interactions. In an official bulletin by JAMB, Professor Oloyede mentioned that future interactions will primarily occur online, with calls being recorded for effective monitoring and quality control. It will be recalled that JAMB has received reports of unwholesome practices and a team has been deployed to investigate these claims. Professor Oloyede is urging students to provide credible evidence against JAMB officials or CBT centers involved in extortion or improper activities, ensuring that any staff found guilty will face the full wrath of the law. In the meantime, JAMB Registrar has commended the honesty and diligence of the majority of JAMB staff, expressing confidence in the integrity of over 99% of the board's personnel. You're watching Adbn News at 7. Watch us on DSTV channel 258, on StarTimes channel 140, Avo TV app, Limix World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website on www.adbntv.com. Stay with us for more stories after the break.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues, it is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
No matter wetin I see, enough fit make mouth heavy to talk am. That's now why people dey talk.
You know wetin dey worry you, but you no go fit take help yourself.
If you are not a judge, you are not a judge.
Make we talk good. where we dey see good, and when we know say we no dey see good, make we also dey talk am.
No woman, no mother deserve to know the grave of his child.
The bank manager, the bank executive, they are the one the government should first place.
People They Talk, the show on Monday to Friday by 5 p.m. on top Adbn TV.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
You're welcome back. And now to health regulations. Pharmacy Council of Nigeria has sealed more than 1,400 illegal medicine stores across the country in a comprehensive crackdown spanning 6 months. Details of the enforcement activities document as released by the council shows that in Gombe State, PCN inspected 1,001 premises and sealed 751 for illegal operations. In Plateau, 510 premises were sealed, and in Jigawa, 375 premises faced closure. Similar enforcement activities were carried out in the FCT, Bauchi, Cross River, and Kaduna states. In total, 5,409 premises were inspected nationwide, with 3,834 premises sealed for operating illegally. The Pharmacy Regulator Agency also arrested 10 individuals during the crackdown. Meanwhile, Council's Registrar Pharmacist Babashir Ahmed stated that these enforcement activities aim to uphold excellence and maintain the highest standards in pharmacy profession. Nigerian Army has ramped up its operations against illegal oil refining and theft in Bayelsa and other parts of Niger Delta region as part of renewed efforts to curb criminal activities in the area. Troops of the 6th Division of the Army, in collaboration with other security agencies, have intensified clearance operations across the creeks, waterways and rivulets of the Niger Delta. In River State, along the Imo River near Owaza and Odogwa creeks, soldiers confiscated over 15,000 liters of stolen crude oil in a large wooden boat. At Okoloma and Obuzo creeks, 9 illegal refining sites were deactivated and over 13,000 liters of stolen products seized. In Delta State, troops intercepted a tanker truck carrying stolen crude oil and arrested 2 suspects. Another vehicle suspected to be preparing for oil theft from Seplat Energy trunk line was also seized, leading to the arrest of 3 more suspects. Similar operations were carried out in Edo, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom states, while troops dismantled illegal refineries, intercepted stolen crude, and made further arrests. General Officer Commanding 6th Division, General Jamal Abdulsalam, commended the troops for their resilience and vowed that the division would continue to deny criminal elements a foothold in the region. He affirmed the Army's commitment to creating a conducive environment for increased oil production in the Niger Delta. Arrested suspects have been handed over to appropriate authorities for prosecution. And moving away from security matters, let's let you know that former Nigerian Finance Minister and current Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has revealed her intention to seek re-election, outlining key areas of focus for her potential second term. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, who made history in March 2021 by becoming the first African and first woman to lead the WTO, expressed a desire to continue her work at the organization, emphasizing the need to deliver on key issues. The WTO DG outlined several critical areas that she aims to address if re-elected, to include securing a deal to end harmful fisheries subsidies, achieving progress in global agriculture negotiations, reforming the WTO's dispute settlement system, and working on decarbonizing trade. Under the World Trade Organization's consensus rules, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala will return her position if no other candidates emerge and all member countries agree to her re-election. She intends to submit a formal letter to the WTO's main decision-making body to signal her interest in a second term. You are still watching ADBN News at 7. You can watch us on DSTV channel 258, on StarTimes channel 140, Avo TV app, Limix World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website on www.adbntv.com. Stay with us for more stories from the foreign scene after this break.
Welcome to the world where innovation meets opportunity, where ideas become empires. This is Market TV.
I am Idorian Flannan, and every week I'll be taking you inside the dynamic world of marketing and commercial business.
From groundbreaking startups to big businesses, Market TV brings you the best pricing and latest goods on display.
It's all about understanding your audience and staying ahead of the trends.
Witness the creative processes that drive the various brands.
Join us as we dive deep into the strategies that shape the commercial landscape. From streets to traditional advertising and social media, we cover it all.
Whether you're a seasoned professional or an aspiring entrepreneur, Market TV provides the insights you need to thrive.
This show gave us the tool to turn our vision into reality.
So, if you're ready to master the market, tune into Market TV every Saturday at 6 p.m.
Step into the heartbeat of the world where news meets real talk. From breakthroughs in diplomacy to humanitarian challenges and scientific milestones, Global Digest takes you beyond the headlines and straight to the heart of the matter. I am Amma Marcus. Be a part of the world unfolding stories at 3 p.m. on ADBN, channel 258 on DSTV, and StarTimes, channel 140. Global Digest, your window to the world's current affairs, only on Advocate Broadcasting Network.
You're welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Well, the United States military has revealed the completion of its withdrawal from Niger following an order by the country's ruling junta earlier this year. The withdrawal comes after the West African nation's junta directed the U.S. to remove its nearly 1,000 military personnel from the country following a coup in Niger and marking a significant setback for Washington. U.S. withdrawal started with the removal of forces and assets from Air Base 101 in Niamey on 7th July, followed by Air Base 201 in Agadez on 5th August. Meanwhile, the United States African Command Coordination Element, comprising of a two-star general and staff, completed its departure by the 15th September deadline. An official statement, the United military noted that Over the past decade, U.S. troops have trained Niger's forces and supported partner-led counterterrorism missions against Islamic State and Al-Qaeda in the region. U.S. Department of Defense and the Nigerian Ministry of National Defense, however, acknowledged the sacrifices made by the forces of both nations. United States Department has approved a potential military sale to Taiwan valued at approximately $228 million. This was confirmed yesterday to include the return, repair and reshipment of spare parts and related equipment. The approved sale will cover the maintenance of Taiwan's military assets, ensuring the operational readiness of its defense systems. The U.S. State Department emphasized that the deal also supports Taiwan's continued ability to defend itself and maintain peace in the region. Rescue efforts are underway following the collapse of a 7-story building in Sierra Leone's capital city, Freetown. The tragedy struck yesterday between 11 a.m. and 12 noon local time, with the building located on Shell New Road. Sierra Leone's National Disaster Management Agency has also confirmed that at least 8 people have been killed, including 2 girls and a boy, all under the age of 5. So far, 6 people have been rescued from the rubble, but officials fear that more people remain trapped beneath the debris. Head of the NDMA, Mr. Brema Sese, emphasized the importance of public awareness regarding dangers of using unqualified contractors and substandard building materials. He also mentioned that the agency will continue to conduct vulnerability assessment to prevent future incidents. And moving over to sports, Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owen Eno, has expressed profound admiration for the remarkable talent showcased at the ongoing National Youth Games in Asaba, Delta State. Senator Eno commended the young athletes, emphasizing the extraordinary potential emerging from this year's event. He noted that the true highlight of this year's games is not merely the medals being won, but the impressive discovery of raw talent across various sports. Among the standout young athletes is Isabella Emiojo Ichado, Nigeria's youngest female chess player at just 8 years old. We move now to Libya, where the Football Federation has dismissed Serbian coach Milutin Sredojevic following the Mediterranean Knights lackluster's performance in the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Libya currently sits at the bottom of Group D with only 1 point from 2 matches. The team was held to a 1-1 draw by Rwanda on the opening match day and then suffered a 1-2 defeat to Benin Republic in the second game. Libya is scheduled to face Nigeria Super Eagles in a crucial double-header during the AFCON qualifiers next month. Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti will be integrating Jude Bellingham and Aurelien Tchouameni into the squad ahead of tonight's Champions League match against Stuttgart. However, defender Eder Militao will be absent, having missed Monday's training session. Other Champions League fixtures scheduled for Tuesday include Young Boys versus Aston Villa, Juventus hosting PSV, Eindhoven, and AC Milan taking on Liverpool. Bayern Munich will face GNK Dynamo, while Lille will visit Sporting CP. And that's it on Adbn TV News. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258, on StarTimes channel 140, Ava TV app, Limix World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website on www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www.adbn.com adbntv.com/live. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. And it's back to Beat O'Brien for the continuation of Morning Express. Good morning and thank you for watching.
Well, thank you, Peace, for taking us through our first major news bulletin this Tuesday morning. We'll be back shortly to start the conversation of the day, guided along the headlines as captured on the front pages. Be reminded that you're invited to join the conversation as you look to share your thoughts, comments, and opinion. However, we do advise that you express yourself in the bounds of civility. Refrain from using inciting or inflammatory statements when you join the conversation. Well, there are more segments to come up on the show. Of course, the newspaper review segment first, and then at 9 o'clock we'd have time for our major conversation of the day. At 10 a.m., our Abuja Sports editor joins the show to give you a build-up to the UEFA Champions League games as scheduled for Tuesday night. Well, it promises to be an engaging conversation on the show this morning. Do all to stay with us. We'll be right back to dig into it.
It is Groovy Mono, aka the Steez Prince.
Yo, what's up? It's Big Shags. I'm in London.
Hey guys, I'm Princess Jekoko. My name is Mutale Mwanza, the Queen of Zambian Media.
My name is Grand Prince Aita. Hi guys, my name is Baj Adebule. I'm an actor and a filmer.
Hello guys, I'm Falagade Banks.
My name is Kelechi Amadiobi, photographer, storyteller.
My name is Nanradi Dura, I'm an actor.
My name is Chidi Mokime.
Hi, my name is Uche Uba.
It's TV season.
I'm Miss Stems.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mamas and papas, I am Jimmy. You can call me the entertainer.
My name is Esio Dometa. I am an actor and a film producer.
My name is Sobiku Vala.
Hi. My name is Julius the Genius. I would use a shout out to ADBN.
Big shout out to ADBN TV.
You're watching ADBN.
And you are watching.
Keep watching ADBN TV.
And this is ADBN TV.
And this is a shout out to ADBN TV. Keep watching, don't switch the dial.
Shout out to ADBN. Keep watching, love.
And you are watching ADBN TV.
Shout out to ADBN TV.
I've got one thing for you. Make sure you keep watching ADBN TV.
And shout out
to ADBN TV.
Shout out to ADBN TV. Don't touch that dial.
And you're watching
ADBN TV. Keep watching ADBN TV.
And I'm shouting out to ADBN TV.
You're watching ADBN TV.
Keep watching ADBN TV. This is where to be. And you're watching ADBN.
And shout out to
ADBN TV.
And shout out to ADBN TV. Keep watching.
And you're watching ADBN TV.
keep watching ADBN TV.
Right now you are checking out ADBN TV. One time.
ADBN. Keep watching. I love you and kisses.
Keep watching ADBN.
And a special shout out to ADBN. Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Please don't touch that dial.
Stay groovy.
Mwah.
Hey, Bobby.
Ah! It's a shout out to ADBN.
ADBN. Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on ADBN TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
Welcome to the world where innovation meets opportunity, where ideas become empires. This is Market TV.
I am Idorian Flannan, and every week I'll be taking you inside the dynamic world of marketing and commercial business.
From groundbreaking startups to big businesses, Market TV brings you the best pricing and latest goods on display.
It's all about understanding your audience and staying ahead of the trends.
Witness the creative processes that drive the various brands.
Join us as we dive deep into the strategies that shape the commercial landscape. From streets to traditional advertising and social media, we cover it all.
Whether you're a seasoned professional or an aspiring entrepreneur, Market TV provides the insights you need to thrive.
This show gave us the tool to turn our vision into reality.
So, if you're ready to master the market, tune into Market TV every Saturday at 6 p.m.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues, it is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program that touches the core of our existence.
A warm welcome. Tuesday looks quite busy with possibilities of rainfall activities expected across most places within the country during the morning hours. But for some few places in the extreme north, could see some sunny spells which should be short-lived, as by afternoon we expect more storms with prolonged rains expected across the northern areas and widespread thunderstorms over the central states. You may want to watch out for that. And to most parts of the southern half of the country, we expect a mixture of light to moderate rains, which should come intermittently in the late afternoon into evening hours. Thank you for watching.
Well, it promises to be quite the clement weather across major cities in Nigeria this Tuesday. Wherever you find yourself, you're tuned to ADBN television, and we're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. Well, let's quickly give you an overview of what the papers have as headlines this morning. Well, leading more than a dozen newspapers, the first two newspapers report that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has rescheduled his planned U.S. visit in order to visit flood victims in Maiduguri, Borno State. Now, let's look at this coverage as published by three papers, in fact, now. This Day, the Matrix newspaper, and the Daily Independent. All three have a semblance of similarities as regards that lead report. Now, on the front page of This Day newspaper, you'd find leading the headline, Tinubu reschedules U.S. trip to visit Maiduguri, pledges help for Borno, sets up disaster relief fund, seeks private sector support. Shehu of Borno wants flood disaster probed. Zulum commences distribution of relief materials to impacted persons. Acknowledges donation from Agric Ministry, NEMA, NNPC. Kano donates 100 million naira, and Dume 50 million naira. IGP orders reconstruction of damaged police facility. Now, above that headline story is a feature story beneath the masthead. Oil marketers, it makes no sense for NNPC to sell locally sourced petrol higher than imported fuel. National oil firm makes adjustments to breakdown of price from Dangote refinery. And whilst above the masthead, you'd find captured on the header, moderation in food prices eases inflation to 32.15%. Severe in Bauchi, Kebbi, Jigawa, others. Now, on the Matrix newspaper, You'll also find a similarity in the headline story as it regards Borno flood. Tinubu visits Maiduguri, pledges FG support for victims, announces creation of disaster relief fund for flood victims, visits flood victims at IDP camps in Maiduguri, says his thoughts and prayers are with Borno people. Maiduguri situation is quite frightening, says Nema. Some residents still trapped, says Senator Ali Ndume. Now you have, following that headline, a prominent picture showing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at his visit with the Shehu of Borno, Alhaji Umar El-Kanemi, and the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, as of yesterday, Wednesday. Now inserted in red, above the lead story, you'd find the feature that reads, Ipman reacts to NNPC selling Dangote fuel above 950 naira per litre, says no sense in NNPC selling Dangote fuel higher than imported ones, says 950 naira per litre Dangote petrol may justify more importation. And above the header as well, much similar to the coverage on this day, more reports from the NBS as Nigeria's inflation rate dropped to 32.15% in August. Now let's also look at a third paper in regards to the president's visit. Now I'm greeting your screens as a coverage given to the president's visit as published by the Daily Independent. You find that lead story on the Daily Independent. Tinubu in Maiduguri pledges FG support for flood victims. Tinubu in Maiduguri pledges FG support for flood victims, vows to tackle climate change, environmental issues differently. Monarch urges probe of flooding, laments losses. Above the masthead, two feature stories. To the left you have Okonjo-Iweala seeks second term as WTO Director General, and next to which is the story, Nigeria's inflation eases to 32.15% in August. On the rider, again, gunmen attack police station in Anambra, kill 2 officers. Now away from this headline stories on the 3 papers, let's look to review more newspapers this morning as we look at more developments concerning potential flood warnings. Now 2 papers have this in terms of the perspectives greeting the conversation, whilst commuters continue to groan on the state of federal roads owing to incessant rains. Others look at the provision of over 40 billion naira in ecological funds that, despite such investments, have failed to mitigate the impacts of flood this year. This is the coverage on the Leadership and the Daily Trust newspapers. Now, on the Leadership, you'd find that lead feature beneath the masthead, rains worsen state of roads nationwide. Interstate travel now nightmare. Commuters, transporters groan. Abuja Kaduna, Umuahia Ikotekpene, Calabar Itu, Ado Ekiti, Ikare Akure Road, Makudi, Enugu roads, debt trap. Residents demand completion of Lokoja Bini Road. You have cross sections of the road pictured beneath that lead story. And on the Daily Trust newspaper, you'd find the lead story. Despite 40 billion naira ecological funds, flood ravages states. Experts fear mismanagement of allocations. 108 billion naira, latest disbursements largest for some governors. The infographics telling more on that story is pictured beneath the headline. Now, away from these 2 papers, let's quickly also bring up more newspapers this morning. And following yesterday's public holiday to commemorate the El Maulud celebrations, it was tragedy in Kaduna State, as we're told that a road crash has claimed the lives of over 35 people. Now, you'll find this captured on the First newspaper as well as the Daily News Hub. Let's pick them up together now, shall we? Now, on the First newspaper, the story has the catchphrase, heartbreak in Kaduna, 15 children die in fatal Maulud celebration crash. The Daily News Hub has tragedy, 35 Maulud celebrants die in Kaduna road crash as bandits kill 3, kidnap pastor, 29 others in church attack. On the rider of the Daily News Hub, Maiduguri flood. Some residents still trapped. Dume cries out. Tinubu visits state to sympathize with victims, evaluate flood impact. Michael Jackson's brother, Tito, dies at 70. Away from these two newspapers, another prominent issue in the news is following the hike in the pump price of premium motor spirits, otherwise called petrol, as reported by the Vanguard and the Guardian newspaper. And on the Vanguard this morning, you'd find the story with the catchphrase, Dangote Petrol, Nigerians to pay 950 naira per litre, says the NNPCL. Pump price now 950 in Lagos, Abuja 992, Borno 1019 naira. NNPC completes lifting 16.5 million litres. We have not taken delivery of refineries petrol, depots owners reveal. Consumers should expect 1,200 naira per litre, says marketers. Sector requires increased transparency, says Adbn. Now on the Guardian, you'd find the lead story, concerns as fuel price hike, weak naira, dampen inflation outlook. Concerns as fuel price hike, weak naira, dampen inflation outlook. Now you have more infographics telling us the prices of staple foods. A bag of rice pegged at 95,000 naira. A bag of beans, 230,000 naira. The price of yam in the market, certain tubers go as high as 6,000 naira. Gari a bag at 56,000 naira. Pepper, 100,000 naira for a basket. A loaf of bread, now on the average at 1,800 naira. With the outlook pegged against the value of the naira shown depreciating, the price of fuel and the inflationary rate all as headline stories. On the rider, some interesting stories you may want to concern yourself with. Mpox, no plan to impose travel restriction on Africans, says US. Abure's tenure as LP boss expired in June 2024. INEC insists. Outdated tech, human errors expose Nigeria to 586,310 cyber threats in H1. Now, away from the papers talking about the fuel issues, more developments as it concerns fuel is captured on our next two papers, on the Nigerian Tribune and on Business Day. On the Nigerian Tribune this Tuesday, you'd find the headline, Ipman tackles NNPCL over petrol price template, says it is senseless to sell Dangote fuel higher than imported ones. Corporation ready to sell at 950 naira per litre in Lagos, 1,050 naira in Borno. Above the masthead, 4 days to Edo election, PDP APC supporters up the ante. Igodalo slams 20 billion naira suit on Oshomole over alleged defamatory comments on Planwell. FG to exploit $7 trillion Hala market. Targets $1.5 billion GDP through strategic initiatives by 2027. NIMET predicts 3 days thunderstorms rain from today. That's an important one to concern yourself with following NIMET's predictions. Now, on the Business Day, the editorial looks to give details with an insight into why traders have bought less of Dangote's products despite its cheaper market value. As you find the headline, inside details of why diesel traders bought less of Dangote's products. Now, away from that, let's also look at the next two papers greeting our screens this morning as we would look to invite our in-house analyst to join the conversation. Our next paper reports a decline in Nigeria's inflation rate as published by the National Bureau of Statistics, and it comes as a surprise that despite a hike in the pump price of fuel, the NBS reports that the inflationary rate is declining. Now, this is reported by the Nigerian News Direct. Making headline beneath the masthead, it says again, Nigeria's inflation rate declines to 32.15%. That is the headline. But above which you'd find more feature stories, Maiduguri flooding, Tinubu visits IDP camps, hints at creation of disaster relief fund. Digital Identity Day. Proper digital identification will improve security, social amenities. And lastly, why I am seeking re-election as WTO DG, says Okonjo-Iweala. Now, in our final paper this morning on the local scenes, does have some comments as it concerns the Edo Guber polls 4 days away. And this is as a cleric, Bishop Kuka, has cited a comparison to what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did in a build-up to the Lagos elections back in the day, noting that he did not also sign a peace accord, much like the ruling party in Edo has shunned one. This is indeed the lead story on the New Telegraph. Let's look at it together. You'd find Guber, Tinubu did not sign peace accord, committee can't force Edo PDP, says Kuka. I'll take that again. Guber, Tinubu did not sign peace accord, committee cannot force Edo PDP, says Kuka, as CUP demands immediate transfer of REC police commissioner. Well, these are the overviews of headlines greeting the front pages this morning, and we look to also get your thoughts and comments as you react to the stories. Do ensure that you get all the facts right, as the headlines are only read as published and are not in any way a reflection of the position of ADBN Television as it concerns issues in the news. Now, joining us on the program is an ardent economist and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Adefolarin Olamilekon. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Bito, and good morning to all our viewers out there. Nice to be here once again every Tuesday.
All right, now let's get straight into it now. Following the floods in Maiduguri, the president was out on an international trip, whilst the vice president, Senator Kashim Shettima, earlier visited. But now the president, in his magnanimity, has also postponed his trip to the United States of America in order to be able to dialogue with the victims and empathize with them, more so the setting up of a strategic ecological fund at this point to ensure that all resources on ground cater to the needs of most persons, over 1 million affected across communities, and some now situated in IDP camps. Let's get your thoughts on this.
It's quite interesting, and we appreciate the president for visiting Borno at this point in time, particularly to show concern and to show empathy for the people who are affected by the flood. But one thing that I take out of the message or out of the visit is what the Shehu of Borno is talking about, that the flood need to be probed. If you remember on this platform, I said there are conspiracy theory around why could allow dam break at this point in time. We have had series of flood, and Maiduguri was never flooded.
And that was the major controversy. Whilst we saw reports by the federal government that the dam did not necessarily collapse.
Exactly.
There were also reports that this fault had been noticed over 9 years ago. And at that time it was noticed, the amount budgeted for more of a, what I call it, refurbishment was 26 million. Now it will take 8 years and over 146 million naira to begin those repairs of the dams. People are now saying it is climate change issues, that the rains have been more severe as to why the communities in Maiduguri were affected other than the dam. That controversy continues to remain one that has not really been dispelled. And whilst the Shehu of Borno is calling for a probe, do you think that he is outrightly pointing back to the Alau Dam?
Definitely, that's what he did. And that's what some of us have already asked. This needs to be probed. As I speak right now, Lake Chad is shrinking. As even shrink, Lake Chad is dry. How come such flood did not go? How such heavy water did not flow to that aspect? How come it is the Maiduguri city that this flood came? All that local government or that areas of Maiduguri did not record the flood. So how come? Even though the closeness of the dam may be to Maiduguri, but what we are saying is that over the years we have had serious flood that would have considered Maiduguri to be a flooded city, and we never had it. The 2022 flood, it never happened there. The 2012 flood, and the one that was so severe the entire Nigeria was underwater, that was the 2012. It was not flooded. So how come this one? And if the Shehu of Maiduguri is saying that it needs to be probed, that means he knows more about what has really happened. Because to him, if the dam has been overflowed, it's supposed not to flow into the Maiduguri city. How come it flow into the Maiduguri city and it overtake the entire city? And look at it again, it overtook the poor areas where poor people are staying.
Also affected, amongst the affected areas is the correctional center where over 286 inmates escaped.
Exactly.
And so far the correctional service has said that 17 of them have been recaptured.
Exactly.
A lot of them Boko Haram members who were incarcerated are still at large. Is this also a growing security concern?
It is, but I know they will recover most of them. They will get them back. And the fear around that particular escape of prisoners or people that have inmates is quite alarming, but we know that they will recover them back. But back to the main issue of that allowed dam. Even the excuses that everybody is giving that the dam need to be recovered, the dam need to be refurbished, it's just many of us that are trying as much as to look into the critical aspect of it, judging by the historical incidents of flooding in Maiduguri. I'm not yet convinced whether it is the dam that collapsed or someone is trying to pull a string somewhere. And that is why the Shewa of Maiduguri is saying it needs to be probed. But away from that, we also need that the people need succor. The government have promised a lot of succor for the people, and I wish the money and whatever material they are giving to them will get to the right people at the same time. But we also remember what the vice president said. He said most areas that the flood started from, that's the areas that have been considered the flood-prone area. And he has advised during his tenure as president that people should not build on that particular area. But all of a sudden, as he came to come and visit them, he saw that those places houses have sprinkled up, and he was surprised. So it means that something is happening, that officially government have been negligent, either federal government or the state government have been negligent in terms of how urban renewal is being construed or constructed across the country. And it's not just Maiduguri that we're having these challenges. There are flood-prone areas that government are giving allocation for people to go and build houses, go and build estates. And you know that these areas are not meant to be for building. But as it has happened in Maiduguri right now, we don't know the next state that is going to suffer another heavy flooding. Even though Kebbi State have suffered its own share of the flooding, and that's why I see that Borno State is suffering. So we don't know the next state that will suffer heavy flooding like this. But you know, this is the month that the flooding normally comes. Moment it gets to 25th, 27th, we won't be recording any flooding issues again, particularly in the northern part of the country. And by ending of September, nobody talk about flooding again. But this is the month that flooding normally takes place in Nigeria, and everybody needs to be alert.
Now, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has also issued a prediction that starting today, Tuesday, for the next 3 days, there's going to be severe thunderstorms and rains. Talk us through what this means in terms of the federal government's pledge to tackle issues of the ecology and environment differently with the setting up of an ecological fund.
Most of us that talk about ecological fund have discovered that it's just a cesspool of corruption. State governors and federal government have not been able to understand and utilize that money, I suspect, and particularly the state governors, because it is a money that constitutionally is recognized to be given to the state governors. But most of them, they believe that nothing will happen. But something has been happening. I can remember in 2008, 2009, there was a study that participated that talked about ecological fund, and they tried to understand why state governors are not putting effort to utilize that money to the level that it's expected. But guess what? It became a political thing. The state governor thought that it was it's a witch hunt against the ruling from the ruling party against them, and it was recorded that a lot of those money went into political activities as well as into private pockets, and that's what we are still experiencing today. People are not even talking much about ecological fund again because many people are tired of it. No governor is responding. If you ask them the question, they will tell you different stories, and the federal government also doesn't want to push for it, that we want transparency in the use of ecological fund. And now the media have taken it over again and saying ecological fund has been wasteful, and we have to be regarded as the most painful activities of governors, particularly governors. Even though federal government have been so quiet, the office of ecological fund have been reading with corruption. A lot of people who serve in that office have been questioned by EFCC over the years, and nothing comes out of it. But what we are trying to say right now is that in as much as this money has been given to state governors, we expect them to use that money particularly for correcting some infrastructural gap. Because what that money is meant for, to correct infrastructural gap that will take care of every flooding or every water after rainfall. But most of them don't use it. So they divert the money to other essence because they lack money. Because they have used the every money that they are generating from fact for other things, and they are in debt. Because we must also understand why state governors normally divert funds meant for a particular critical infrastructure of their state. Because they are in debt, they will use that money for something. And because there is no monitoring, no follow-up, and whoever is doing monitoring ecological fund doesn't have that power, because it's just a unit under the presidency. I wish it can be turned into a commission that will have more power to punish, to sanction, and to ask for transparency around it. definitely some state government will sit right and use the money as expected.
Now let's look at two more papers that talk about some of the infrastructures that have been abandoned in some states, and with the worsening rains, like we highlighted, two infographics as captured on the Leadership newspaper and the Daily Trust. Now on the Leadership, it mentioned roads across sections of the country worthy of note, talking about the Abuja-Kaduna Road, the Umuahia-Ikotekpene Road, Calabar-Itu Highway, Ado-Ekiti-Ikare-Akure Road, Makudi-Enugu roads, which are now considered a death trap. Now, sections of the Calabar-Itu Road are pictured there at the bottom left-hand corner. You'd also have sections of the Abuja-Kaduna Road and the Bida-Mina Road, which have collapsed. Now, on the Daily Trust, you look at the 40 billion naira ecological fund and the fact that between June and December 2023, 25.07 billion naira was disbursed. Between January to May 2024, that is this year, another 15.42 billion naira has been disbursed. In total, 40.50 billion naira. Now, this largesse you'd find in the northwest part of the country, 10.53 billion naira, which was disbursed to the governors in the northwest region. In the northeast, 8.09 billion. The north central received 4.7 billion naira. The southwest, 7.77 billion naira. The southeast, 5.88 billion naira. And the south, 3.45 billion naira. Now, this infographics is compiled by Haruna Ibrahim of the Daily Trust, with infographics credit given to Ali A. Yadam. Now, this is quite the amounts on paper. Now, despite those amounts, you see more than 5 roads making interstate travel become even more cumbersome for transporters and commuters who continue to groan. Not to even talk about the level of road carnage and fatalities recorded owing to such roads. There's a downtime in being able to transport both goods and services and persons across the states.
Exactly, but what we also need to quickly point out that the money in question, the ecological fund in question, is for state to address state roads, particularly state roads. We have to correct that. It's not meant to correct federal roads. But you can discover that most of the state roads are linking up with the federal roads. So for federal road not to be damaged or not to be destroyed on time, that's why it is expected that those state roads need to be maintained. But you can see that between 2023 and 2024, 40 billion have been disbursed. In the past, billions upon billions have been disbursed, and none of those state governors can really give account. And that's why most of us are calling that office needs to be rearranged, need to be restructured. I think the blueprint did a particular feature on that particular ecological fund, which I also participated as one of the experts that spoken. And he said ecological fund need to be moved beyond just an office or just a department that is headed by just a coordinator. It has to go into serious legal framework to ensure that it has the power to be able to function. And we also suggest at that point in time that they don't need to be giving the governors the money again. Let them look at the project they need to tackle with that money and address those issues. Because as a Daily Trust have pointed out, all the money that have been given from 8 billion to 10 billion to 5 billion to 3 billion to 6 billion, all now, if you ask the governors where is the money, they can't give a dime account of that money. They are using it for something else. And that's a challenge that we have found ourselves. But we are saying right now that it needs to be corrected. And correcting it means that we need to take ecological fund office to National Assembly and say we can have a legal framework to make it more structure-wise, more serious, and more officially dedicated to the job that is meant to do. Just like Physical Commission and the rest of those commissions that also have an input at the state level. Because this one has an input at the state level, and it will go a long way to help us to address some of the infrastructural gap and infrastructure money you have, particularly road infrastructure. And not to forget, also affected houses. Ecological issue affect houses, residential area, and the rest of them. To build coverage, areas whereby water can flow easily. Those are the things that the money is meant for. Then again, to the roads that have been said to be affected, cut off, either in Calabar, in Kaduna, we know that during the rainy season, it's very difficult to construct roads. And we must understand that one. But there are some roads that federal government have not touched, particularly the Calabar own. People have been talking about Calabar road that the government have not touched. Federal road in Calabar, that means Cross River State. So federal government need to take a look. Minister of Works and Housing need to take a look at that particular environment and see what they can do. The Kaduna, Abuja, Kogi Bini Road is also very bad. We know that it's under construction right now. The Abuja-Kaduna Road is under construction, but majority of the roads that are failing are state roads, and we must call the governors to action, because most of the major federal roads are under construction, and the contractor also appealed that because of the rainy season they cannot do much. Even when they do one or two things, before you know, when the rain comes, it wash it away. But we also need to speak out and call on FEMA. The Kefi Abuja Road, there are about 82 sections that failed with potholes, large potholes that's more than 10 meters on the Abuja Kefi Road. That's the road I applied anytime I'm coming to Abuja. 82 portions or 82 sections are very, very bad. And NEMA have been doing some palliative that are not palliative at all. Just 2 Sundays ago, I saw the chairman of Kari local government doing palliative on the road between Massacre and Kari local government. It was doing palliative. And there's one of the deadliest sections on that road opposite NIPCO filling station at Ninyanya. A very deep, big ditch is there where vehicle can swallow vehicle. So FEMA need to come in. The one they are doing at Abacha Road, these are more like advocacy for them. The one they are doing at Abacha Road, they are just poorly wasting resources. That we have told them what to do before. There is no drainage around that area. All the drainage has been blocked with sand. So they need to evacuate those sand and make a proper drainage, but they are not doing it. So 82 sections on the Abuja Kefi Road is very bad, and FEMA has been doing a poorly job in terms of palliative. So we have to call them out.
Now let's bring in a concept that the Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, had introduced following his appointment by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu sometime last year. He talked about the need to change the way we approach road constructions for durability, especially in times of persistent rain. He talked about a move to concrete roads, away from the asphalt tarmacs that we are used to. But it almost feels as though the implementation of such a policy has not been carried down by states in terms of the trunk A, trunk B roads dichotomy and the responsibility of either the state governor or the federal government.
See, for me, Bito, the problem of our road is not whether we are going for concrete or we are going for asphalt. The problem is drainage system.
So to start with, the construction of not having dual drainage systems is the major issue.
Is the problem, and the drainage system needs to be connected to a canal or a channel that will take out all the waters. Then the third problem is poor maintenance culture and abuse of road by Nigerians.
But another point he was trying to make is the fact that for concrete roads, in terms of the porosity of the grains used in making the road, it will allow for the water, with or without a proper drainage system, to somewhere find its way out of the road, not like when the asphalt road retains water on the tarmac despite the rains having stopped.
But the asphalt dried faster than the concrete, because the concrete will soak the water. And when you soak the water for a very long time, what will happen to the major problem is drainage. Then the second problem is channeling the drainage system into a bigger canal. Then the third problem is the maintenance of road by our people. Yesterday, when the rain was falling yesterday, I saw some people pouring debris into the rain so that the water will flow and take it up. And where is
water? This borders on indiscriminate disposal of waste.
Definitely, an abuse of those things. Now, when the flood water of that rain will take it to a particular and block, then there are a lot of sand. Another problem we normally have is that, you know, when they finish constructing road, the other shoulders of the road of the roads will be asphalt. Then the other part of it will be left, maybe in front of a resident building that has mold. Now, when rain comes, rain will pull those mold into the drainage, then block it. Then other water that's coming will now overflow that area. Then more mold will come, then block the road. Then before you know it, the shoulder of the road will start peeling up, will start giving way. Then before you know, the main road will start also.
Even the pedestrian walkway,
everything will now start that because there was no proper channeling of the water. I'm giving you from the experience of what I've done with my colleague Apoleko Analytics on this Abuja Kefi Road, then down to the Abuja Kaduna and down to Abuja Lokoja Road. This is the same problem we're having. Then before you know it, a little hole in the middle of an asphalt road, either concrete or asphalt. The moment that little hole and water continues to be stay on it, then the vehicle are passing. Then before you know it, that particular little hole will begin to manifest, growing big. Before you know, you expand into a ditch, and that's what will happen. And FEMA that's supposed to come and do the maintenance will come and do a shoddy job They will do a shoddy job and just do a small palliative. They come back again, they do a small palliative, and it has become like an entrepreneurship, in a sense that every year we'll come and do a budget allocation for this particular road. They collect the money, will pay people. That's how it has become. So they are not maintaining anything. They're just creating opportunity for people to come and milk the government and waste resources. In December of 2023, they put a big signboard on this Abuja case where they say they are doing major repairs, major maintenance. They didn't do anything. I personally monitor. I even asked the workers on it. I said, what are you guys doing here? The problem of this road is drainage. Put drainage, work on the drainage, and channel the water to a bigger canal or whatever. They say it's not their own job to do that. They only ask them to come out because they are hired labor to come and do the filling. Right now, as I'm speaking, their equipment is on the road saying they want to do maintenance. So we need to call out FEMA. That FEMA will be doing a poorly maintenance job. The palliative they have been doing is just waste of resources. So government need to look at what FEMA is doing on the Abuja Kefi Road and across the federation, because I'm just giving an example of the one I monitor every day. Even this morning I still check on some of these roads. The same problem is still there. The maintenance they came to do in Massacre last week Thursday, those gravel they pour on the road have disappeared because rain have come and washed it away. They didn't maintain it very well. So we need to call them out that FEMA is doing a poorly palliative job of road maintenance in Nigeria, across Nigeria. A bigger example for them is to come and check the 82 failed section on the Abuja Kefi Road and over 158 section on the Abuja Kefi Road that they say Abuja Lokoja Road, they say they are doing maintenance. So we need to call them out.
Now, Mr. Adefolarin, using case studies as regards the Abuja Kefi Road and Abuja Lokoja Road, where he has cited a number of failed sections on the road, has urged the federal government to approach issues of the environment differently, while commending the efforts of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in setting up an ecological fund. He has also called for a probe of how states have used the money, citing the difficulty in interstate travel with major roads linking states, causing commuters and transporters to lament. It is indeed off the back of NIMET's advisory and alerts that for the next 3 days, there'll be more severe floods and heavy rains, accompanied with thunderstorms. Now, unrelated to the state of the road following the increase of heavy downpour is a tragic situation in Kaduna yesterday following the celebration of the Eid el-Maulud. We're told by some publications this morning that in a road casualty, over 35 persons have lost their life, particularly to include 15 children. Now, whilst the spirits of celebrations can be high at times, it is also on our road use culture, which has continued to draw concerns from well-meaning Nigerians. Mr. Adefolarin, let's get your thoughts on this while we also sympathize with the families who have lost loved ones.
We just have to do that. We have to sympathize with them. We also pray that Almighty Allah receive the souls of the people that have left us in this mother earth. But it's also called for caution. I witnessed the celebration in between Nyanya, Maba, Kefi, and also the way the celebrants were actually celebrating, although some of them abused the road, which they were quickly called to order. You know, they were using both sides of the road, driving. Some are driving against the traffic, some are blocking the traffic. You know, they were called to order, and they quickly arranged it. So because they caused a lot of traffic on that Abuja Kefi Road, particularly down to Kefi, they caused a lot of traffic between Maraba and Kefi. And you know, the incident would have occurred as a result of overspeeding, would have also been caused as a result of the poor nature of the road, because there are a lot of ditches all across either trunk A or trunk B road. There are a lot of ditches on those roads because as a result of most of these asphalt, concrete, whatever are being washed away as a result of heavy rainfall and water. But the message still remains that we need to do our celebration in a modest way, because it's expected that we should follow due course to do that celebration. But at the end, we have lost people because over excitement, over anxiousness has also caused this particular tragedy. But we just pray that Almighty Allah will accept their soul, and the family of those who have lost their loved ones can have the empathy, the strength to be able to absorb the challenge that comes with it.
Much like the reported road accident is also the issue of boat mishaps. We're also told that in Zamfara this morning, a certain number of persons have also remained unaccounted for following the boat mishaps. And on the part of regulation, the agency is saddled with the safety of travelers on the road, the FRSC, and then on the inland waterways as well. There are challenges in being able to enforce the guidelines for safety. Most Nigerians without seat belts on the roads, most Nigerians without life jackets on the waterways. How do we engage Nigerians on the need for proper safety culture?
I think that has been done over time. The only thing that the message may not be sink into the heart of people, and because of the exigency of that period that those people were engaging in their going here and there, carrying out activities, like the one that happened over because of celebration of the Molud. It could be an overexcitement. Maybe the driver, the passenger. If you see the way some of them hang on the vehicle that are doing the celebration. But for the water tragedy, I think it's the right time we begin to warn boat operator. At this point in time, because of the flooding, our water level tide is very high. All the rivers, tributary rivers within the Nigerian territory are very high. All the rivers are absorbing a lot of flood water at this point in time. When I was coming, I saw the UK River, the what they call it, the Luvu River. These are rivers that were very dry 2-3 months ago, but right now they are the full capacity, even including the New Carroll Bridge. These are they are smaller rivers, so but they are not. But at this point in time, they are very flooded with water, and because of what, a lot of flooding water is passing through several tributary corners, rivers across Nigeria. So both operators need to be very careful. Even residents around those areas also need to be very careful. That's why you see that flash flood will just become a heavy flood within a time, because those dry rivers are now absorbing a lot of water because of the flood. So our message is that both operator, NIWA, Nigerian Inland Waterway Authority, also need to begin to conscientize people. I saw them the other day in Lokoja trying to conscientize and give education to both operators. They need to go around the entire country. I don't know how their capacity is, but that's the message they need to do. And the road safety have been doing their best in terms of road, but we know that most of our drivers are very, very, they have their own mindset. This morning as I was coming from Kefi, they are already planning up the opposite direction, driving against traffic, because they want to beat the hold up that is on the way. And the hold up is caused as a result of the bad portion of the 82 portion section on the Abuja Kefi road that is very bad. So we must caution our drivers, must also advise them, wherever you are going, wake up and leave early, so that you not be driving against traffic and cause untold hardship on other passengers, other passerby, other people using the road, as you also.
Well, we're going to discuss some of the other issues in the news this morning, and whilst we have our main discussion at 9 to look at the NNPCL versus Dangote refinery and price pegging templates issues, it is important to state that the National Bureau of Statistics this morning, greeting most papers, have published the inflationary rates for the month of August 2024, and quite surprisingly, the statistics are as against the weakening Naira and the hiking PMS is pegged at 32.15%. Now, from the economic perspective, a lot of persons all through the year, up until now, for every statistics that's published by the NBS, have put huge question marks on it, owing to the cost of living crisis in the country and what households continue to lament with spending over 90% of income on food. The Guardian earlier on listed a number of food items, gave us a beautiful infographics vis-a-vis the inflationary rates. Do you think that our inflation outlook is evidence of our current situation?
We have to look at it from the two perspectives. It is official that it's 32.15% from the 33.40% of last month of the month of July to the one of August. The one that we just saw is the month of August, and the one before was July. Now, what NBS is doing to showcase what they have been able to gather with their over 12,000 informants that they send into the market space to go and find out the price of goods and services. About 12,000 of them, over 750 items are calculated, and the results are put together to what we have as inflation. Now, the other side of it is that the real inflation does not reflect the figures that the government will give to us, because the market change, the price changes per second. The time that the informant of the NBS will go to the market will be quite different from the time that other Nigerians will go to the market, if you understand. So the figure they will get officially will be quite different from the figure we are going to get. Maybe the informant of NBS go to the market early in the morning till afternoon. Then the rest of us go to the market from the afternoon to the evening. So the price change. And We have noticed that in Nigerian palace today, every price of goods change per second, depending on how the traders in that particular locality, how they communicate with each other. Because what they do now is to communicate with themselves, either in Kaduna, Kano, Lagos. What is the price in Kaduna? That's what they are using now. So the price dictation of what is happening in territorial environmental is what determines how much anybody wants to sell.
Whilst a lot of persons will agree with this school of thought, let's pick some of these items and look at them in terms of the price across locations. According to this publication on The Guardian, the average price for a loaf of bread that a family can afford to have for breakfast is now at 1,800 naira.
Exactly.
I don't know if it would be in the FCT alone in Lagos or in Sokoto or in Maiduguri or even in the creeks of the Niger Delta, but it is quite alarming that this same loaf at the start of the year was at 900 naira. Now, at that point when this loaf was 900 naira, inflation there about 24%.
Correct.
Now, if we do the mathematics, the arithmetics, we all know that at this 32.15% does not justify this 1,800 naira.
Definitely. And one other thing you need to, there are three things to consider. And one, the quality of the bread. Because there are bread made by master bakers and there are bread made by just ordinary bakery. Now, they could have used an ordinary bakery bread price for us. There are still bread that you can get for 1,600 that family can consume, 1,500 for. What is the quality of that bread? That's the first question you ask yourself. Then secondly, location matters. In Lagos, for instance, there are several master bakers bread, there are several bread bakery in Lagos. In Abuja, the same thing, but they differ. In Nasarawa, the same thing, they differ. So the quality of the bread, the quality of bread that we consume in Abuja are different from the quality of bread some people consume in Nasarawa State. Also different from the quality of bread that consumed in Benue State. For instance, that 1,800 naira bread in what the guardians have used in this publication could be the highest in Benue, could be the highest in Plateau. But in other choice city like Port Harcourt, Lagos, Abuja is different. There are loaves of 2,500, there are loaves of 3,000 naira, depending on the location and the quality of the loaf. And that's what matters in this particular reference to what we are talking about. But what I'm trying to point out earlier is that for other food commodity, particularly grains, rice, gari, beans, millet, or the rest on it, the price is dictated by communication, by the traders.
Now take for instance the example also as against a bag of rice at 95,000 naira like we have on the infographics this morning.
Definitely, that rice they are putting at 95,000 is one of those foreign rice. Local rice, as of Friday, local rice mudu highest was 1,900 naira, but a foreign rice mudu was about 2,500, 2,300, 2,400, depending. And local rice also have different grade. The grade I mentioned was one of the list of the grade of 1,000 naira that you have literally sharp to pick out. But the ones that are oil that are around 2,100 naira, the other 2,002, the foreign rice 2,007, 2,000, depending on the quality. Then the choice of that rice or where they are going to buy also depend on the location of the market. A 95,000 naira bag of rice now, you can get it in bigger supermarket. If you go to Massacre now, if you are looking for foreign rice, it's very difficult for you. What they will bring out for you is majorly Nigerian rice, but refined one. But if you want to get foreign rice, they may even tell you they don't have, because most local market now they deal majorly on Nigerian rice and they are very expensive. You get it? So location matters. Then the quantity and the quality also matter. And now we're also having problem with the packaging of those rice. They are not up to the 50 kg that have been.
There are sharp practices in the market.
Exactly, because they are rebagging some of those and they are also mixing it up.
Now this price gouging and sharp practices, many Nigerians were elated when the FCCPC came in and said there will be market visits both in the informal sector markets, the open markets, and the formal market spaces as well. But the challenge is with being able to enforce this price control to stop sharp practices.
It so happened that last week weekend publication on one of the feature story on Blueprint that participated as expert to discuss and dissect. FCCPC is just a toothless bulldog. They can't do much, and that's what we suggested in that publication, that there need to be a review of the law that brought up the 2018 Act that turned Consumer Protection Board into FCCPC need to be reviewed again, because they need stronger law. But what they are doing right now is to engage. I think the new executive vice chairman Tunji Bello just did a a town hall meeting with some traders in Abuja, and they say it's going around the country to go and this. They will just be engaging. And those marketers, those traders, they are not they are not unified. You may end up talking to some few people. There will be other subgroup in the market that doesn't want to take excuses from anybody. The onion sellers, they have their group. The pepper seller, they have their group. The maize seller, every sector of those commodity of food have unions, subset unions, and they commune. And that's why the price change within a second. Because when they call the chairman of maize seller in Kano, how much are you selling your bag? And they say so amount. He say okay, yeah, we want to sell it less. So he say no, don't sell it less. So transport have added money. If you want to add this transport added money, price of diesel have not changed in the last 3 months. So what is happening? So those are the ways the tactics they are using to change price of goods and say. That's why you see these days. None of them is mentioning dollar again. They are not talking about dollar. They don't even tell you about this again. What they are telling you right now is that economy ash. Meanwhile, the majority, the truck that transports some of these goods use diesel. So the excuse of diesel have failed them. The excuse of dollar has failed them. So what they now use is to use communication to drive the price of goods and services across that, particularly food commodities. And that alone, FCCPC doesn't have that power to change the price of goods and services unless the law that established them is reviewed to give them the power, give them the capacity to do that. If not, they will just continue to engage with Nigerians from now to eternity.
Now, let's also talk about the dollarization and the strength of our naira. In light of this inflationary outlook, headline inflation 32.15%, food inflation, we're yet to look at it, but it is well still above 40%.
Exactly.
The challenge now is the strength of our naira. Projections were that transportation being the live wire of commerce, with the hike in the price of PMS, we might see a hike going into the festivities that greet the month of December. In line of all these projections, what's your take on where we're heading in terms of our inflation outlook?
I think inflation will continue to show two figures: the reality figures and the official figures. The reality figures is what the one most of us will be confronted, as I illustrated through what is happening in the market, how they are using communication to determine the price of goods and services in Nigeria. Then the official one is what the government will be trying as much as to do through their own proactiveness. The NBS will send the official to the market to go and check the price of goods and services and the rest of them. But by the time we enter the market, the price will change. By the time they go to the office, they go and use the word they have gotten, but it will be different from what we have. Now, the challenge remains that the economy is having issues. And the issue is because the economy is not productive enough. We are not producing enough to consume. And the government policy is on a two-leg prone. One, the government is sourcing for revenue, and it's also sourcing for stability. And when you put these two together, you can't work. Because the more revenue you chase through fiscal policy, through monetary policy, the stability you are trying to maintain, you can't maintain it. Let me break it down. Now, relation to the naira falling or the naira depreciating is this. Government is sourcing for revenue through two angles. One is using fiscal policy, using monetary policy. It wants to raise money through bonds sellings, treasury paper sellings. You can discover that the 500 million US bond that they asked for, they got over 900 at 9.78% to each of the bonds you are getting. So that's on one way. Now, if you ask me, where would the government get the money to pay all those bond paper? They have to devalue the currency, because they have to use devaluation of the currency to defend the naira against the dollar and against the payment of those treasury bills they are trying to get. That's on one. Then the other angle is the fiscal policy of collecting taxes from businessmen, pushing more hardship, increasing the price of fuel, is also part of revenue generation for the government. Now, by the time you push all those things out to the business people, who will they transfer all those things to? They transfer it on the ordinary consumer. So the monetary the revenue that you want to generate to bring stability will not bring any stability. Rather, the stability will become instability as a result of what? These two cannot work at the same time. And what we are trying to say is that, in as much as government said to get revenue, they must impose certain fixed charges, certain this and certain that on the businesses. On the other hand, they don't want to go and borrow money directly from anybody. They want to use instrumentality of the fixed income, like selling bond paper, selling treasury paper to raise more money and push that money to the economy to address some of the challenges they are having. And now paying back that money they borrowed through those fixed income, the currency has to fall for it. And that's what is happening. You can discover that last week, CBN sold each $1 to BDC at 1,548 naira. And they must not sell beyond 1,500 88 naira, because as we speak right now, a BDC must not make above 30 naira on each dollar they are selling. But guess what? They will make more than that, because they will use a third party to be selling.
Now, do you think, amidst the call from many economics, much like yourself, to the Apex Bank, the CBN, to reduce the interest rate to say they're about 37.52%, do you think that the leadership of the CBN through its governor Oluyemi Cardoso would listen to such calls?
They have been listening, but they will never listen and take that advice, because they also look at bigger picture ahead. What is the bigger picture? U.S. foreign reserve. Last week, the U.S. inflation dropped a little less than 5%. You get it, but it did not affect the ordinary market in the US, and also the rate, the interest rate is still very high, although not double figures like our own. Because one thing about central bank across the world, particularly in third world countries, is that anytime you see them acting the way they are acting, they are not just going to act that way. They look at what is the rate in US, what is the European bank putting at their rate. The essence is because higher rate, interest rate particularly, attract investors. Because it's those of us that are complaining that they are pushing interest rate, also have a good side. It has positive side, like the $500 million US bond that the government put out now. If it's not for the interest rate that is very high, nobody will come and, although it's a domestic one, nobody will come and pick that the 500 billion US bond at 9.8%. But because it's high, and that was dictated as a result of what CBN have already fixed for its own interest rate. So interest rate has its own advantage for fixed income earners, for stock brokers, for people dealing with stock in the stock market. But on the other way around, for small business and large business who want to go and borrow money from only credit facility, it's going to be very difficult for them. Those are the disadvantages of interest rate. But on the other side, you also have his own advantage. But they will not listen to reducing interest rate. Although Cardoso has promised that he's going to look at that soon, but I don't see him taking that advantage, because as we speak right now, a lot of treasury paper, a lot of government paper is going out. And the only thing that can attract people to buy government paper is what? Interest rate.
Well, interesting conversations this morning following the publication by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Now, NBS says using the Consumer Price Index, a measurement of a change in the rate of good prices and commodities in the markets, published that as of the month of August, the inflationary rate dropped to 32.15%. Now, measuring that on a year-on-year basis, what it means is that headline inflation is still slightly increased by 6.52%, because as of August last year, 2023, at this time, the NBS published that inflation stood at 25.82%. Now, this is strong indications in terms of what food prices and commodity prices would be sold out in the market. Now, in reflection of this, Mr. Adefolarin has called on the CBN to also reduce the interest rate to make it better for Nigerians at this point. Now, moving forward, but still on this issue, is also a key Nigerian who is currently the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who says she has unfinished business at the WTO and is bidding for a second term. Let's get perspectives on what this second term might imply in terms of the World Trade Organization and in the Nigerian interest of how significant a second term for Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala would portend for Nigeria.
I think it's one of those positions that, Africans have never just took for the WTO, because historically, the WTO before we came, the WTO was very general agreement on trade and tariff, and at that point when it was GATT, it was recorded as one of the unjust international organizations that have done badly in East Africa, because what GATT then and what WTO represents today is to determine the price of commodities, particularly raw materials that are being exported or exploited from Africa. So initially, most critical economies doesn't even like to hear anything about WTO or GATT. But recent, a lot of people are paying attention to them because of the new means of entry, in a sense that before now, no African person has occupied that particular position, and no third world individual has occupied that position. Okonjo-Iweala have to break the genes, although that's not where she wanted to be. She wanted to be in the World Bank, but because she didn't get the World Bank, and those two, World Bank and IMF, is being shared between America and Europe. but of a particular time, nurturing the dynamics by allowing Asian to also occupy that position. But they always have that interest because IMF and World Bank, World Bank is controlled by the US, IMF is controlled by the European countries, but WTO is controlled by both continents. That means Europe and America. But they now let the WTO go to a sub-Saharan African person, and Kojoala was able to take that position. But upon that, a lot of people are not yet convinced. Critical economists are not yet convinced because the reason to be done has not been done, because the injustice in terms of price determination of commodity, WTO have not addressed that particular issue. Until today, they have not addressed it. Maybe if Madam Okojo-Iweala win that second time, she may be able to be critically do that, because a lot of third world African countries are crying out that till tomorrow, the price of their commodity, no matter what that commodity is, once you are exporting it out of your shore, the price is not determined by you. The price is determined by the buyer, and majority European countries and American countries. So that need to be corrected, and those are the injustices that majority of us cry out against WTO. But I hope she can do it, because in her first time there was reform in WTO. WTO begin to take into cognizance issue of gender perspective in businesses and the rest of them. Although that's not what their core line of duty or mandate as WTO, but they begin to make entry or entrism into areas that are a little bit of humanitarian, just like the way World Bank and IMF also reform themselves and begin to handle areas that are more social and economic welfare of countries. WTO also begin to take that into. That's why you see them going into entrepreneurship, teaching tech skills and the rest of. That is not their mandate. Their mandate is to see how they can safeguard international pricing of commodities. But as she said, she wants to take the second time. We wish her the best, but the challenge is still there. The entire control of WTO is not in her hands as a person, not even in the hands of her team. It's in the hands of the US and the American. But we just want to wish her the best, and wish her the best that when she takes the second term, she can be able to advance the critical aspect of what third world countries are asking for the WTO to do. That may reform the entire international trading system that have been of disadvantage to third world countries. Because if she doesn't do that, she wins the second term and she finishes, the problem remains, and many third world countries will still be disappointed because WTO have not really answered the question of how to adjust and readjust and address the problem of these gaps between how we make our price known, how we advise the price, and pushing for a price that will be more stable for African countries.
Now, there's another issue in the news. The federal government is looking to exploit the $7 trillion HALA global market with projections that we can target a $1.5 billion GDP via the strategic initiatives by the year 2027. What are your thoughts on this projection?
It's an ambitious target, but we have to look at the disadvantage of this fixed income kind of generating revenue for the country. They have their own long-term disadvantage, and it's on the currency, because all these issues that we are running away from collecting direct tax money from World Bank or IMF, we are running to the one that is a little bit short-term in look, more flexible. They have their own problem on the currency. I just made mention of the 500 billion they just got in from a domestic bond of dollar. The problem will be that the currency will pay for it because they don't have any other choice. So the HALA target, good, but how are we going to sustain that the currency will not be devalued more? Because that's where we have to point out. Although mainstream economists will not make mention of this, but those of us that are critical economists, we have to tell the government the fact. Good, go for the HALA, but how are you going to sustain it? How is the currency will fare after you have gone for all this big fixed income money that you are going for on the international scene?
And lastly, another economic outlook which is captured on our last paper for review this morning, above the masthead, where we're looking to discuss the Edo Guba elections. But before we get into the Edo Guba elections, you'd find inserted on the New Telegraph, above that lead story to the left-hand corner, a picture of the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun. The caption is, H1 2024, digital financial expansion boosts VAT by 60% to 148.18 billion naira.
Very interesting.
Now, conversations around VAT have become even more interesting.
Because government is taxing everything on the internet. That's what it means. Let's just make it plain to the people. There's nothing sophisticated, there's nothing superficial about the digital economy. It's about trading. It's about buying and selling. That's what digital economy is all about. So whatever you are buying, whatever you are selling, the VAT has come to play a role to collect 7.5% from what you are buying and what you are selling. Simple. So government is making more money. So whatever billions they are making, what Nigerians will now be asking for is that as we make that money, let us see it in infrastructure. Let us see it evidently in things that Nigerians can say, okay, thumb up for the government, money will be made, and they'll put it in this, in that, and that. That's all. So because people will think that digital economy is one kind, one kind of divinity kind of, there's nothing superficial about it. It's just buying and selling. And government have put a tax of 7.5% on what you are doing, what you are offering, what you are selling. So the money is coming to the government and they're making more money. Simple.
Now, our last major issue in the news on the local scene this morning is the Edo gubernatorial election scheduled for the 21st of September 2024, that is this Saturday. Earlier on the headlines on the New Telegraph, we saw comments by the Christian cleric Bishop Kuka, who likened the situation with the PDP refusing to sign the peace accord in Edo State to what happened in Lagos when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was then running for the governorship position in Lagos, saying that the committee cannot force PDP at this moment. There's also been an interesting twist to it, as a lawsuit has been filed by Igodalo against former Governor Governor Adams Oshomole, now Senator Adams Oshomole. Now, a 20 billion naira lawsuit has been slammed on him in what is called the defamatory comments on Planwell. Well, there's a lot happening in Edo State. Let's pick these issues one after the other. Let's start with this comment by Bishop Kuka at this moment.
I think I watched that signing accord by all the political parties, 17 of them in Edo, and I saw the drama that PDP put up. You know, before then, a day before then, I think I was in the studio and Governor basically said they are not going to sign it. And we all said that it's not by force to sign it. Don't even send representatives there. But all of a sudden, we saw PDP representatives there. They marched to the stage of the signing, and they told Bishop Kuka that they're not going to sign it. Man,
the stage, they walk out.
They walk out. And later they came back. And they wanted to give the man something like a protest letter. And the man said, no, this is not the place to collect such things. And they left. So, nobody is forcing anybody to sign anything. And
but in terms of the significance, do you think it is just ceremonial that despite signing peace accords over the past elections, there were still reported incidents of violence and voter intimidation? Do you think that should the PDP have signed it, the people of Edo State might have, been more assured that there will be less issues of voter intimidation or election day violence?
No, you can't rule that out. Those characters of the Nigerian election will also exhibit themselves. Voter intimidation, arrest, intimidation, and all those violence will always occur in election, no matter how peaceful any election is. Although it may not be too wide, but definitely to happen. Vote buying will also take place. But the significance of that ceremony is just to put the consciousness on the political leadership. But the people that will perpetrate this act of electoral violence, they are not the ones that put their pen on paper to sign. So nobody will go and change them. And that's why it's very difficult to prosecute election violence in Nigeria, because the perpetrator, you can't get them. Now, the leadership that signed, they know that they can be arrested. So none of them will go and carry gun. None of them will go and establish any voting point. But the people they will use, and that's why the problem. If you listen to the speech of the chairman of the commission, retired General Salam, he said something. He said people need to be conscientized, and that conscientization must go beyond the platform to the floor. Meaning that the people who are going to follow PDP, APC, Labour Party to the election ground, they must be conscientized that there should be no violence. But do they take this message to the people? And sometimes when you see politicians acting the way they are acting, know that the body language or the sign language of what they are saying to their member is that be alert. Simple, be alert. All the other political parties that sign, it could be a sign to their members that be ready, there is no violence. But the one that refuse to sign, what message is he passing to his members? But it's also ceremonial, because in the past, all manner of signing have been done in the past and nobody really acted, because there's not much sanction on political election violence in Nigeria or violators in Nigeria. But with the message you need to pass, election need to be peaceful, and the handwriting must be on the wall that it has to be peaceful. All these intrigue that you are seeing by politicians is just to cause confusion in the election. But we know that the voters are ready to vote for who they want to vote and cast their vote as expected.
Now, this lawsuit has slammed by Igodalo on Senator Oshomole 20 billion over defamatory comments. Now, a lot of comments have been made in the build-up to this election, even to a point of targeting families. That barring statements and all that. I don't know if it's part of the political gimmicks like you're saying, but in times like this, one would think that the campaign should be issue-based. What do you make of this development?
It's because both parties don't have anything to tell the voters. And that's why they'll look for one comic statement to make and make the people to be excited. Although you have been to political rally before, you hear what politicians, they don't have anything to say. We'll give you water, we'll give you life. Those are old stories. Now, when it's government that people don't want to listen to, we'll give you water, we'll give you light again, they twist it and begin to make it a comedy scene. And that's why the likes of Shomole can go and say whatever I want to say. Even the PDP people, they are not also excused from it. They also say their own thing. Now, either you are issuing, sending somebody to court on whatever, they can also do the same thing. It's just the political gimmick, the interest that comes within a political party or party politics, because the politicians don't have anything to offer on both sides. Either the ruling government in Edo State or the ones that are trying to take the position, all of them don't have anything to offer. In the past 16 or 25 years of electoral democracy in Nigeria, go and check what has happened in Edo State. Who are ruled there? What have they done so far for Edo people? That's the question we should be asking. So as far as I'm concerned, they don't have anything to offer. That's why they turn into a comedy show by harassing and intimidating family, by saying what they want to say, which is more like a comedy show that we normally have in comedy centers.
Now this system of democracy that we've borrowed from the Western world and we look to replicate in the Nigerian context, we've seen most of them stage debates.
Exactly.
We focus our campaigns mostly on rallies. Do you think that the Nigerian state needs to evolve, even at the state level or even at the federal level, to begin to imbibe this culture of having issue-based campaigns and debates where candidates will be engaged on the content of their manifestos and the plan, so that even if they're elected into office, we can refer to statements made during the debates or even in ruling out that manifesto that this was what was promised on the agenda of a party and the candidacy at hand, and this is a roadmap as to if they are on track, more like an indices to measure how well a government is performing.
It's expected to do that, but the politicians are ready to give that to the people? Because one thing you must know about Nigerian politicians, they have been able to understand the psychology of every voter. They know that every voter is poor, every voter is looking for one tips, whether 1,000.
So you feel it's like a deliberate effort to weaponize hunger?
They have done that, and they will continue to do that unless the people do the necessary. And what the people do the necessary means that they must look beyond the current array of politicians that we have.
In looking beyond, do you think this limitation is based on the literacy level? Because like you've said, if hunger has been weaponized, a lot of persons are not probably as sound to read these economic indices like you have done, or look at the beyond the party and look at the candidate in terms of his antecedents in other either appointed or elected positions, to say that based on antecedents and precedents, this person has what it takes to pull either my community at the ward level or even the state out of where it is currently.
The problem is the structure that the system is operating. As it stands right now, the party politics that we are playing does not give room for that question to be asked. All the people that you see in most political gatherings are members of the political party from their ward level, who are only interested to come and collect their own shares. But the real voters that they're supposed to educate and give the necessary information, they will not be there because they are afraid of violence. So that one created alone will keep them away. But what they are looking for is the smallest of all that puts certain things in place and let us have the prosperity of the state shared across board. But that will not be done because of the structure and the system that we're operating. But we just hope that the Edo election will give us a better room whereby the right candidate will be elected, not from the popular party, because what we have is that the popular party, definitely, if any of them win, the problem that they have will continue. But when an unpopular person comes in, that being voted for by the people may listen to the people because he knows that he was voted by the people, not because his godfather is somewhere or his political party has the money or his political party is very popular. But the problem is that because of the current situation, and as you speak, right, it's just three parties that is making the noise in Edo. But we have other fine gentlemen who are contesting under unpopular political parties who could do the magic. But would they have the time? Would they also have the chance? Do they have the resources to distribute the other party will do? They don't have it. And those are people that have the genuine art to do things for their people. But they will not have the chance to be elected. So we just hope that But as I said earlier, if the people are ready, they will pick their candidate. Not minding where that person comes from, but believing that the mandate that person has promised them, the manifesto that are shown to them is what you work on. Not that the one that will be working from national level, as I've seen in the past.
Now in closing, in terms of the preparedness, one on the part of INEC and on the part of the security architecture in Edo State, the CUPP are calling for the redeployment of the resident electoral commissioner deployed to the state, and also the police commissioner as well. Are these calls genuine? What can be done 4 days to an election in terms of what the CUPP is saying?
These are the usual noise normally hear from people who are interested in the election like this. You ask me, these are the same noise we will be hearing anytime election comes. But we know that INEC have done their best. For me, either they remove the CP, either they remove the INEC Resident Electoral Commission, whatever any political party wants to do, they will still do it. It's not a matter of removing anybody. But the thing is that let voters be allowed to vote. Either you remove the man or you don't remove the man, voters will still vote and their vote will count, or let their vote count as expected. So CU people has always been that pressure group that normally speak, and because they are biased, and that's why people like us will never even support what they are saying, because they're always biased. It was led by a Kenga. He used that same pressure, that same propaganda to get himself into the National Assembly, and he's enjoying whatever, because they use propaganda to push themselves out into the mainstream of Nigerian politics, and that's what they want to do. But for Nigerians, for those voters, go and do your vote. Even like let them remove the CP today, remove the Resident Election Committee, whatever political party want to do, they will still do it. That won't stop them. But the key issue is that let us vote peacefully in Edo on Saturday. That is the message they should be preaching, not asking for CP to go or Resident Election Commission to be removed.
Well, we must thank you for your time on the program this morning. I believe your last statement is a good place to leave it. Well, ahead of the gubernatorial elections in Benin City, Edo State, on Saturday, 21st September, on the part of the electoral umpire INEC, it says it is fully prepared. The CUPP is calling for the redeployment of the resident electoral commissioner and the police commissioner in Edo State ahead of the elections. But the controversies that stemmed from the failure of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to append its signature to the peace accord as signed earlier continues to stir controversies. And Bishop Kuka, who is part of the peace accord signing committee, is talking about the fact that even the president, in a build-up to the Lagos elections, when he emerged as governor of Lagos State, did not append his signature, but it did not dampen the results because it is based on the votes cast at the polls. Well, we're hoping that the elections are peaceful and free of voter harassment or intimidation, incidences of vote buying or outright cancellations. We wish the people of Edo State all the best ahead of Saturday's election. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll turn our attentions to what the foreign newspapers have as headlines. And when we come back at 9 o'clock is a broader conversation on the current controversy as it ensues between the NNPCL and Dangote Refinery, and this new price template with what it entails for Nigerians as transporters and commuters continue to grow. Do well to stay with us.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
Welcome to the world where innovation meets opportunity, where ideas become empires. This is Market TV.
I am Idorian Flannan, and every week I'll be taking you inside the dynamic world of marketing and commercial business.
From groundbreaking startups to big businesses, Market TV brings you the best pricing and latest goods on display.
It's all about understanding your audience and staying ahead of the trends.
Witness the creative processes that drive the various brands.
Join us as we dive deep into the strategies that shape the commercial landscape. From streets to traditional advertising and social media, we cover it all.
Whether you're a seasoned professional or an aspiring entrepreneur, Market TV provides the insights you need to thrive.
This show gave us the tool to turn our vision into reality.
So, if you're ready to master the market, tune into Market TV every Saturday at 6 p.m.
Step into the heartbeat of the world where news meets real talk. From breakthroughs in diplomacy to humanitarian challenges and scientific milestones, Global Digest takes you beyond the headlines and straight to the heart of the matter. I am Amma Marcus. Be a part of the world unfolding stories at 3 p.m. on ADBN, channel 258 on DSTV, and Star Times, channel 140. Global Digest, your window to the world's current affairs, only on Advocate Broadcasting Network.
A warm welcome. Tuesday looks quite busy with possibilities of rainfall activities expected across most places within the country during the morning hours. But for some few places in the extreme north, could see some sunny spells which should be short-lived, as by afternoon we expect more storms with prolonged rains expected across the northern areas and widespread thunderstorms over the central states. You may want to watch out for that. And to most parts of the southern half of the country, we expect a mixture of light to moderate rains, which should come intermittently in the late afternoon into evening hours. Thank you for watching.
Well, thanks for staying with us on our flagship program, Morning Express, showing live on ADBN, channel 258 on DSTV. It's time for us to give you an update on the headline stories as captured on the newspapers and tabloids from across the globe. Now, on our foreign newspaper review segment, greeting the discussion this morning is the front page of the Daily Express. On the Daily Express this Tuesday, you'd find beneath the masthead, Battle for Assisted Dying Law, read Vanessa Felt's tribute to her campaigning friend. I am convinced that the Dame Esther is fighting the good fight. That's the quote beneath it. The headline this morning has the catchphrase, damning verdict on shamed former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards as he avoids jail. Reputation in tatters over child abuse images. And you have inserted there a mugshot of the former BBC presenter, Mr. Edwards. Now, away from the Daily Express, let's cross over to the front page of the Daily Mail. On the Daily Mail this morning, highlighting stories from the UK, you have beneath the masthead, amid Labour disquiet over wardrobe gate, Lady Stammer breezes up to London Fashion Week in another outfit she hasn't paid for. Well, a lot of bloggers have, on the tabloids in the UK, looked to get the traction from the wife of the Prime Minister, Starmer. Now, it's concerns over if she is paid for some of the dresses she's rocking or not to the London Fashion Week. Well, still on the front page of the Daily Mail, much like we saw on Daily Express, is talks about the former BBC presenter, Mr. Edwards, who is captured as disgraced, reveled, but not a day in jail. As Edwards works free despite a horrifying new evidence. Now, on the Daily Telegraph, would also find more pictures of Lady Stammer. As you'd find this caption, Stammer's defiant over peers' freebies. Stammer defiant over peers' freebies. It still much talks about her outfit, which is pictured beneath that story. Now, and besides that, more stories on the former BBC presenter with the caption, anger as pedophile Edwards avoids jail. Now, let's also cross over to the front page of the Times. And on the Times this Tuesday morning, more pictures of Lady Stammer's dress. It almost feels as though the newspapers can't get enough of her this morning. But you'd find the lead story, working at home boosts productivity, says Labour. Next to which you'd find doctors vote for 23.7% pay raise, but fight is not over. Those are headline stories on the Times newspaper this morning. Now let's also come back and look at more papers as we pick up the front page of the Australian. On the Australian this morning, beneath the masthead, 2 assassination plots, 1 senile implosion, a Veep rebooted, and still 50 days to go. Talking about Donald Trump ahead of the US presidential elections. Beneath that, CEOs in full voice, shed front from PM. Those are stories on the Australian this morning. Let's cross over to the Financial Times. On the Financial Times this morning, beneath the masthead, Brussels plans to provide Kiev with £40 billion loan package, is the lead story this morning. On the iPaper would be our next point of call. On the iPaper, Hugh Edwards avoids jail over images of child abuse. Hugh Edwards avoids jail over images of child abuse. Above that, on the header, you have 2 feature stories. Safety of Trump and Harris cannot be guaranteed. U.S. intelligence sources admit. Full impact of Labour's VAT on school fees won't be published until budget. Are the stories on the iPaper. Let's also take a trip and look at the front page of the New York Times. On the New York Times this morning, the eligible captions, we can see much of the stories in the States this morning as the anger that defies the 3 Trumps. This is ahead of the New York election, presidential elections as well, with campaigns intensifying in Donald Trump's camp amidst safety concerns for the former president of the United States as more supporters continue to support his quest to a re-election. Now, away from the New York Times this morning, let's look at the Wall Street Journal. On the Wall Street Journal this morning, beneath the story, you'd have more reports following the arrest of the suspected gunman who was involved in the second assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. As it reads, suspected gunman waited hours for Trump. Beneath that, toll of dead and injured hovers near 1 million in Ukraine war. Tesla's fast charger growth slows down. An unlikely group of home renters rises, says millionaires. And our last point of call as we look to wrap up our review of foreign newspapers is a trip to the Hindu. On the Hindu this morning, Mamata drops officials, asks doctor to join duty, is the headline story. Now, for an in-depth analysis into foreign stories, be reminded that you can join our in-house program at 3 p.m. later today on the program Global Digest, where you get a more robust insight into the world around you from stories across continents of the world and the globe. This is as much as we can take on our newspaper review segments on the morning show this morning. Now it's time for us to engage in our broader scope of discussion to discuss the pertinent issue affecting most Nigerians, which is a hike in the cost of transportation. Now this is owing to the hike in the pump price of PMS, whilst the NNPC and Dangote refineries continue to engage in the controversial price template arguments and lifting of over 16 points 3 million litres of petrol from the Ibejuleki plant in Lagos. There are huge concerns about how healthy this is for the Nigerian market. Would we see a monopoly? Are the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association right for calling for sales directly to them, as they've looked to knock NNPC over the new price template? How many Nigerians can afford the 950 naira per litre owing to their current wage, which is yet to be reviewed to 70,000 naira? Well, this morning we have a freelance oil and gas consultant, Engineer Godwin Ibe, joining from Lagos. Hello, Engineer Ibe, can you hear us? Well, very well, good to see you, and thanks for choosing to join us on the show this morning. Well, let's first of all get your thoughts about this controversy as it continues to ensue between the NNPCL, which continues to remain the sole importer of petrol into the country, and now the sole buyer from Dangote Refinery. Amid this monopoly is a new price template. What are your thoughts on this? We can't hear you. We're checking that the connection is all right at your end. Whilst we can see you, the image seems to be shaky, but check that you have not muted yourself so we can hear you. Now, whilst Mr. Gordon suffered his connection, would have him rejoin us once his audio is better. But currently now, petrol is selling at 950 naira in Lagos, 1,019 naira in Borno State. Engineer Godwin Ibe, if you can hear me now and we can hear you as well, let's get your thoughts on this.
Can you hear me now, please?
Very well, we can hear you.
Very well, we can hear you. Okay, good morning. It's nice being with you this morning.
A pleasure to have you.
The issue of Dangote Refinery, first and foremost, let me start from the positive aspect. I think it's a good thing that we have a refinery in Nigeria functional, more so when we have not had one for the past minimum of 9 years. The Kaduna Refinery has been down since 2003, and then the Warri Refinery has been down since 2015. So to that extent, it's good that we have a refinery now, and I'm actually proud that we have a Dangote Refinery. I think every right-thinking Nigerian should also be happy that we have a refinery of our own. You know, having said that, the issues surrounding the refinery, I think it could be far better managed. You know, right here, we are not used to engaging ourselves in dialogue and conflict resolution. We think everything that happens has to be a fight, you know, but that's not a conventional way of resolving issues. When there are issues, they have to be tete-a-tete, heart-to-heart discussion, and in spirit of openness, honesty, and integrity, you know, so that the issues can be collectively resolved. Because if things don't go well, nobody enjoys it. You know, both NNPC, Dangote, the Nigerian people, they don't enjoy it. So I think there should be better engagement in trying to resolve the issues of petroleum pricing. If you ask me, I think the petroleum price now is on the high end, especially if you juxtapose this with the state of the economy and the suffering of the people. I was talking to a colleague, a retired director on the Lagos State Ministry earlier this morning, and we both collectively agreed that people are suffering. There's suffering in the land. There's suffering in the land. The fuel price goes up. Teachers won't even have money to take transport to school or buy petrol for their cars. So the education will be affected. Parents cannot have enough money to give their children to go to school. Cost of living will continue to increase. It's already very high. So I think the government should do something to alleviate the suffering of the people. It's not just a matter of increasing the petroleum price and that's it. You know, they should think of how to alleviate the suffering of the people. Everywhere in the world, there is some level of subsidy by government. You know, so government shouldn't pass the bulk of the issues to be resolved to the people. That's what I would say there for on that point.
Now, Engineer Ibe, whilst I agree with you, it is quite historic that in over 3 decades, Nigeria now has a functioning refinery. Will fail to put 4 refineries to work despite the amount of money invested in turnaround maintenance. But in the subsidy regime, which has been declared to have been gone by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, many Nigerians are also turning their attention to alternatives as promised by the administration to ease the plight of Nigerians with a high cost of transportation. You're talking about some sort of government intervention. What are your suggestions to the governments of the day in terms of some of the aforementioned initiatives, much like the presidential CNG initiative, which Nigerians continue to anticipate? How much more can the government intervene to bring down the cost of transportation?
Government should scale down the expenditure. If you ask me, I think the government is slightly on the profligacy end of the rule. The kind of expenditures that we see it could be done better. I won't cite examples, but I'm sure many of us know what I'm talking about. The government should try and focus on the needful. The government is existing to support the populace. If the populace people are suffering and they don't have a good life, what is the use of governance? The governance should focus on areas that can better alleviate the suffering of the people. And there is suffering in the land. Some of us, every day, people talk to us to help them in one form or the other, and that's about providing for one thing or the other. And a lot of times you cannot say no, because their cases are genuine, even though you might not be able to meet all the requirements or all their demands. So government should look in-house. First of all, stop unnecessary expenditures, have a check on the people, on the ministers and heads of government. Things like going to do conference in the UK, a conference that could be done in Lagos or in Ubudu or in Abuja. You see them, shooting off to UK or elsewhere for, say, 200 or 300 people, and that affects our foreign exchange situation. So I think there should be more discipline in expenditure profile of the various governments in the land, and then discipline. For example, we have Maduguri being flooded recently. From all indications, the signs were there. There had been reports that that part of the dam was collapsing, but it wasn't taken serious. It's now that the havoc has happened, that we are not running helter-skelter, as if to say we didn't know about them. So the issue of Maduguri was well known before it's happening, before it happened rather. So I think that discipline, decency, decorum will help us, to do better in managing the state of the nation right now. Thank you.
Now, I'm talking foreign exchange in relation to the controversy between NNPCL and Dangote refinery. A lot of persons were thrown aback between the price disparity as to how much a litre was sold to the NNPCL. Let's get your thoughts. The NNPCL, being the sole buyer of Dangote's PMS as it stands now, is saying that they bought it in dollars, and hence the variation in what is expected to hit the Nigerian market. Now, whilst this price continues to remain a big point of controversy, how do you think that going forward, the trade between NNPC and Dangote should be carried out? Should it be in dollars or in naira?
I think both parties should come together and discuss, dialogue, and sit down and discuss the pricing for the petroleum products. It's not rocket science. The problem is everybody is working in his own silo. NNPC is doing their bit, Dangote is doing his bit, and then there's conflict, and then it's neither here nor there. So they should come together and discuss. Doing petroleum products pricing is not rocket science. It's something that with openness of mind, integrity, and honesty, they can sit together, discuss, and come up with a pricing that is acceptable to both parties. and which they can transmit to the populace for their acceptance. But everyone is doing his own bit, and then there's conflict, and then there's so much noise, and nobody really enjoys it. Thank you.
The NNPC says it bought it at 898 naira per litre and is now pegging it at a selling price of 950 naira in Lagos. In places like Maiduguri, it goes for as high as 1,019 naira. The Independent Petrol Marketers Association has also issued a statement saying that they want in. They said that NNPC should be more like a regulator and allow the market to have players who are licensed to buy directly from Dangote. In terms of the market dynamics, what does this call from Ipman do?
Like I said, the NNPC, Dangote, and even the petroleum marketers should come together. We have that much experience over the years in terms of petroleum products and pricing. So they should come together and discuss, and reach a consensus on what is best. But everyone argues on their own, and then all you end up having is crisis and confusion. They say one price today, another day they say another price, and then you don't know which one to take, and then things don't pan out well. So they should sit down, discuss, and agree on what is reasonable, and with seriousness and integrity and openness, they should be able to reach at a price that should be acceptable to firstly to those parties, and then they look at ways to sell it to the people who will be the end users. Bearing in mind that things are so tough in the economy right now. Thank you.
The federal government has lauded this initiative with the coming on board of the $20 billion largest single train refinery of a 650 barrel per day capacity as its commitments towards ensuring industrialization in Nigeria continues to grow. Do you think indeed that with Dangote coming on board, this pledge of industrialization has received the much needed boost?
To have industrialization, you must have steady power. No power, no industrialization. Indeed, the Dangote refinery will have a multiplying effect on the economy. Number one, it will help the foreign exchange status. It's going to create jobs. It's going to allow us to have experience in petroleum refinery, and then which we can build on. Yes, indeed, Dangote refinery will have a multiplying effect in the economy. But Dangote refinery functioning well does not tantamount to industrialization, because if you don't have power, we don't have power in the nation. You don't have power. You don't have power in the nation, nothing will work. Industrialization will not be there. The basis of industrialization, one of the key legs of industrialization, and one of the most important legs, is having steady power supply, so that even small-scale manufacturers can be doing their business, and their impact on the economy can be tremendous. So yes, Dangote refinery is good to have. Yes, if it's functioning well, it's great for us. But I think the industrialization is much more than having a good refinery. Even then, countries that have industrialized don't have one refinery. They have so many refineries littered all over the place. So if this refinery doesn't function, the other ones fill the gap. So we need steady power supply in this country. And unfortunately, we have not been able to achieve that, even though we have spent so much money, in trying to get steady power supply. Thank you.
Now, Engineer Ibe, let's look at another comment as it concerns other products that are coming in from the Dangote refinery. I don't know if you listened to comments made by the Vice Chairman of Dangote Group, Devakumar Adbn, who said that a conglomerate of oil marketers are boycotting products from the Dangote refinery, in particular AGO, or should I say diesel, despite the price being relatively cheaper than alternatives that are imported into the country. Care to make any comments on this?
Well, the issue of diesel against petrol is something that to really take in isolation. Diesel has its own role to play, and most people use petrol, because people have cars, they have motorbikes and all that. So the pricing of diesel, even though it's right now supposedly cheaper than petrol, but I think the more focus should be on trying to harmonize the petrol PMS price that will be acceptable to the people.
Now, do you believe that in any way Mr. Devakumar Edwin was insinuating that some powers at play are frustrating the workings of the Dangote refinery by trying to make such comments? Because even Dangote itself had alleged that certain cabals in the oil industry are stronger than those in the drug market.
There's been a lot of talks about trying to frustrate the operations of Dangote refinery. There could be some measure of some level of truth in that. For example, we hear that the blending of petrol in mortar, and we hear at the time they said Dangote product is inferior, and then Dangote went out to prove beyond doubt that his product is in fact is superior to the one that they bring in. Again, it's born out of unnecessary competition, unhealthy competition. Those who are importing fuel, in my view, do not want the case of importation of fuel to stop. They still want to be importing fuel, and they're making their tons of money to the detriment of the nation and its economy. And in fact, such sabotage measures or activities can be classified as economic terrorism. Because if you do anything that doesn't favor the economy, that's had severe adverse effect on the economy, you can easily regard that and see that as an economic terrorism, which is not healthy for the economy of Nigeria. So I think we should all sheet our swords and see our country as ours. We should show patriotism and then do things that will be of benefit, to the country at large, and not just our individual desires or individual benefits, so to say.
Now, in terms of legislative diplomacy and interventions by the National Assembly has issued summons, and in terms of dialoguing with the stakeholders and power that be in Nigeria's petroleum industry, it almost feels as though that for some time now it's been difficult getting all players to come to a round table to either probe certain issues or even resolve them. Do you think that this is another clog in the wheel that is slowing down the future of Nigeria's fuel supply?
Well, the National Assembly could do better. Our experience is that maybe they should focus on the needful, and when they do that focus, it should be sacrificial, not having in mind what individuals will benefit from that. So they should look at things a bit more patriotically, and then do things that will be of immense benefit to our economy and the nation. I think the National Assembly could do better in that respect. I think it's much more of collaboration. Everybody should come and collaborate, with spirit of patriotism in mind. But when we don't have that, when we have our personal desires and interests at heart, then things don't work out. Resolution is not as difficult as we are meant to see or meant to believe. Conflict resolution is something that happens every time, anywhere, no matter how small, big organization, even in families. Issues are bound to come up, but you must sit down, discuss, dialogue, deliberate, in an honest and sincere manner, and looking at the general benefit to the people in mind, not our individual desires.
Now, Engineer Ibe, let's also take a look at some of the working relationships between NNPC and marketers. As of last week, there were reports circulating in some sections of the media that NNPC had to suspend its new petrol orders owing to a backlog of debts owed to marketers. All Nigerians would relate to the fuel queues and the scarcity that hit the market a couple of weeks ago as well, according to that report, owing to the owed debts. On this issue of repayment of debts by the NNPC to a lot of marketers who normally supply on credit, what would you prefer as a solution in managing that relationship?
In the first place, NNPC came out way too late to tell the people that they are owing $6.something billion. And after they made an announcement, just a matter of, I think, 48 or 72 hours, they came out with the new price. Some people think that that announcement came way too late. That is the necessity that places us on the necessity of doing the right things at the right time. You asked me, the announcement came too late, and it looks like the announcement just came as a phobia to announcing the price of petroleum products, which of course will not be that much acceptable, to the society and to the people who are going to be using that PMS.
All right, Engineer Ibe, just stay with us. We're also joined by another guest, Mr. Chuks, a maker who is an oil and gas consultant, also joining us on the program from Lagos this morning. Mr. Chuks, welcome to the show. Can you hear us?
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Very well then.
Nice to have you.
Let's get your thoughts as well. With us as well. This controversy over pricing between NNPCL and Dangote. Let's quickly get your thoughts as we look to broaden the conversation.
Okay, let me make some few analysis on this. And in a couple of in some downs in terms of what NNPC saga. Let me just emphasize this. Dangote and NNPC are not being transparent to Nigeria. This is a shame. They're not being transparent to Nigerians. They're not telling Nigerians the truth. What I think is that Dangote knows that producing products in Nigeria is far cheaper than importing products. What a 650,000 barrels per day production gives for PMS is 9,000 metric tons of PMS. And production cost, as far as he's doing it in Nigeria, is lesser. We are looking at production costs now to be around 450 naira per production of a liter of PMS. This is a straightforward calculation. What I understand Dangote is doing is because he is a capitalist and he wants a measure of play and monopoly in the business. That's the reason why he's behaving the way he's behaving. The truth there is that currently, as of today, the international plant price for PMS anywhere in the world is 780 naira per liter. That's the international plant price. And in most times, when they bring this thing at 780 per liter, there is always what we call a less 100 in it. It's 700. When I say $780 per metric tons, there's a less 100 on it. These guys are not telling us the truth. They are playing with our intelligence. They feel everybody here in Nigeria is not intelligent enough to understand what is going on in the oil and gas global market. The truth is, NNPC and Dangote are playing games with the intelligence of Nigerians. It's a very funny thing. I've said this in different platforms before. For Dangote to tell us that he's selling, for Dangote to tell NNPC to say they are buying this thing and are going to sell it as 950, it's a slap on our face. Because so many costs has been taken away. If this product is being imported, a lot of things have been taken away. The cost of raising a standby letter of credit is taken away. The cost of freight is taken away. The cost of logistics is taken away. You just go to a refinery in Nigeria here and buy this product and are telling us you're going to sell it at the same price they are selling it outside the country. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Even
so
at the time on Sunday, when Nigerians received the news that 16.3 million liters of petrol was lifted from Dangote refinery, the price even at then caused confusion. The NNPC on one side said they bought it at 868 naira per liter. Dangote issued a press statement saying no, they sold it at 760 naira per liter. In a follow-up to that, we're now told that that money was actually in dollars and the conversion is what was bringing the disparity in prices. Now, who do you think, in your opinion, is not totally being sincere as to how much it was bought, which is now warranting this price of 950 in Lagos and 1,019 naira in Borno?
It's not telling the truth. I have to say it with all honesty. It's not telling the truth, and that is how capitalists behave. They try to manipulate the intelligence of the citizens and understand this game, and that is why they are playing it this way. NNPC is just falling into the hands of Dangote's theatrics. The truth there is that that product that you are saying is supposed to come out from
the refinery. What happens in terms of regulation and monitoring? Because the NNPC is now asking that its monitoring team be placed at Dangote's refinery for regulation and transparency in the process of lifting, and also in terms of the price this product would be before being resold to some independent petrol marketers who are also asking into the market.
That is the reason NNPC is doing what they are doing. They want to make sure they monitor what is going on. Let me even emphasize this. Dangote is claiming that the products that they sold to them currently, because what Dangote is claiming currently is that the products sold to them as at now, before October 1st, was sold to them in dollars. But I have to also ask Dangote a clear question. 30 million barrels of crude oil was given to you immediately from the day of the announcement of the presidential executive order given by the president. 30 million barrels was given to you by NNPC. Now, what we know that Dangote is doing is what we call keeping up of feedstock. You keep your feedstock, because what you need per day is not 30 million barrels. What you need per day is 650,000 barrels. Now, Dangote is telling us that what he bought from NNPC from the day the president gave that executive order that he should be sold product in naira, is that telling us that that particular day doesn't fall in, that it's going to fall in from the 1st of October. Dangote is not being realistic. The truth is that Dangote is deceiving everybody. And NNPC is falling into his theatrics. NNPC doesn't understand the play. That's why they are falling into this trick. NNPC wants to help Nigerians. That is what I know. They want to help Nigerians and make sure that this product is not being overpriced. Because that's the reason why NNPC entered into that contract. The contract was to hold this price. Because if you leave this thing open, people will go to Kaduna, people will go to Sokoto and sell this product at 1,500 naira and make excessive profits. And that is the reason why NNPC is keeping the price within this range, so that Nigerians can afford it. Now, that is not being realistic. That's the truth. He's not being realistic. He wants to make all the profits in one shot, which is wrong. He should also consider that he's doing this thing in favor of Nigerians. Nigerians need this help. Nigerians need it. We have waited too long for this refinery to come on board. We have waited too long, and we think it is necessary for him to show a sign of empathy.
This month, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had instructed a meeting with stakeholders, and his vice, Senator Kashim Shettima, was to meet with them. We also saw comments coming in from Senator Heineken Lokbobiri in order to address this fuel hike, and it was with the promise that by October, a price template will be agreed upon. But even before that October deadline, this template we're seeing now. Do you have hopes that, in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's drive to address the petrol hike, would see a more suitable price for Nigerians at this moment?
Anyway, the line is echoing. Let me just put some few things you have said. The president's directive concerning the fuel price is not clear yet. We are not certain concerning what we are going to buy this PMS in the long run. We are not certain yet, because what we've been hearing so far is statements from NNPC, statements from Federal Inland Revenue Director, statements from regulatory agencies. We have not known as at now what is the final cost. That is the work. This is supposed to be the work of the Minister of Information. The Minister of Information is supposed to communicate to Nigerians and tell Nigerians that the selling price of TMS from today is going to be TMS.
Took Semeka's end. Not to forget that we're still with Engineer Godwin Ibe as well. It's a three-way conversation this morning, one over the phone, the other virtually, all from Lagos joining our Abuja studios. I'll come back to you, Engineer Godwin Ibe, this morning. Having listened to Mr. Emeka Chuks this morning, he thinks that it is all a ploy by a businessman, in his words, who is looking to maximize profits, not minding the fact that the executive orders issued by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also saw Dangote receive 30 million barrels of crude oil to boost production. Now, the controversies continue to ensue. Let's get your thoughts in this regards.
Yes, thank you. It takes two to tango. Let's accept for a moment that Dangote is not being sincere about all that is saying about the petroleum price. We also know that there's quite a bit of opaqueness in operations of the NNPC. So it's more like Dangote trying to protect his business as a businessman, against NNPC that we can't really say they are operating with a high level of openness and sincerity. We've also had the issue of some people in NNPC also involved in importing of petroleum products. So bottom line is that there's no sincerity, amongst the two. That's why I say it takes two to tango. Dangote, on one hand, in an effort to protect his business, may do things that are not quite sincere. On the other hand, NNPC should also operate, with openness of heart and then with level of integrity. I think there's quite a bit of suspicion between those two. NNPC doesn't trust Dangote, Dangote doesn't trust NNPC. So it makes it very difficult to resolve, the challenge we have on our hands, which is finding or agreeing on a suitable pricing of petroleum products. So the two of them should come closer to reality, and closer to doing things the right way. I can beat my hand on my chest and say, okay, NNPC, you don't have any blame. Dangote has, NNPC has. That's why I started up an issue that two of them should come to discuss, dialogue, and deliberate, in sincerity, to be able to reach a landing. But when we have personal interest in the forefront, then it makes it very, very difficult to reach the consensus. That's what I think.
This was the issue in which he said that the president's instruction on this matter is not quite clear. And at this point, one will be thinking what the role of the Federal Executive Council is as a position of stance on the matter. We've seen calls from the NBA, members of the House of Reps who are calling for a reversal of this price hike. But on the standpoint from a government angle, what would be your call to the Federal Executive Council on this price war that is ongoing?
Yeah, the president can give his executive order, but that doesn't stop there. If the people who are operating, who are going to obey the executive order, if they are not sincere and honest with themselves, then it wouldn't work. The executive order can be given by president, but if both NNPC and Dangote do not come together in sincerity with honesty, then it will be difficult to work. Just take the example of, I think there's an executive order by president on pharmaceuticals. And pharmaceutical products are supposed to come cheaper, but you know, it's part of the executive order like 3 months ago. You still have a high price of pharmaceuticals, you know, still going up and up and up. So yes, the president can give an executive order, but I don't think it starts and stops there. You know, the people who are going to implement the executive order, you know, have to be serious-minded, you know, and do it with level of high level of sincerity and integrity. Otherwise, the executive order will just be there, you know, and then we say president has given an executive order.
This also on the wider Nigerian society. We've talked at it from the executive angle. We've looked at the stakeholders in question and the major key players. But on the average Nigerians, we saw 2 states much ahead of the resumption of the 2024/2025 academic session choose to postpone the resumption of students. In Edo State, it was rightly blamed on the hike in petrol prices and the cost of fees, which has risen. But let's get your thoughts on this. Whilst Nigerian households continue to grapple with a 50% hike in transportation costs, how does the average family man who is waiting for the implementation of 70,000 naira minimum wage brace up for the impacts?
Before the 70,000 naira minimum wage by the president, I agree with the president, the price of petrol was, I think, 500 and something. And then we say, okay, we have a 70,000 naira minimum wage, and right there, almost immediately, you have a petroleum price hike. Of course, the so-called benefits of increase of the minimum wage has already been subsumed by the immediate increase in petroleum price. And of course, transportation will go up. It will ripple into price of products in the market, you know, foodstuff and everything, price of services, you know, in the market will go up. In fact, everything has gone up, you know. So the public right now are not enjoying what is happening, you know. I have had market women say all these things are very frustrating to them, you know. Imagine cost of gari. Those of you that you know, buy gari, a pint of gari used to be 400 naira, you know, but now it's like between 3,800 and 4,000 naira. That's 10 times. You know, transportation that used to, in some area that used to be like 300, 400, is now 1,000 plus. You know, so there's a ripple into everything that is happening. You know, so I think the people are not enjoying what is happening one little bit. And I think everyone that is concerned should do something. Government, NNPC, Dangote should do something to alleviate the suffering of the people. Otherwise, it will be of no use in having a refinery of our own.
Nigerians have been critical of is the position of organized labor and trade union congresses. Many Nigerians reacting to this are saying that the organized labor hasn't been fair to the average Nigerian. Issues apart from the increments of minimum wage bordering on CNG buses and other associates interventions of the federal government have failed to come by, but yet it seems as though the organized labor was very okay when they received increments in wages and jettisoned other requests as submitted by the tripartite committee on the negotiation for minimum wage. Well, it may seem as though Engineer Ibe's connection is also facing quite the difficulties. If we can have him rejoin us, it would be nice to get his thoughts on this.
The level of expense for products, so the organized labor should have been far more resilient, far more aggressive in their argument. I think they started from 250,000 naira per month, and then suddenly they accepted 70,000 naira, as a minimum wage. I think organized labor ought to have done better than they did in speaking for the people. That's my view.
All right, Engineer Godwin Ibe, we must thank you for your time on the program this morning. We appreciate you for sharing your oil from the federal government in trenches. This was in an agreement that was to also regulate the price of products from Dangote Refinery. You would recall that on Sunday, 16.3 million liters of petrol was lifted from Dangote Refinery, but the price became a point of controversy. On the one hand, the NNPCL told Nigerians that it bought it at 868 naira per litre. Dangote Refinery refuted this comment and said they bought it at 760 naira per litre. Now, whilst these challenges began to affect the pricing, Nigerians were greeted by a template where fuel is now selling at 950 naira per litre in cities like Lagos and 1,019 naira in cities like Maiduguri. Now, this challenge is on what it portends for the purchasing power of an average earner, whilst the Guardian newspaper told us earlier that it will cost...
Every aspect of life is being affected by this, and that is the reason why we were emphasizing from day one that the subsidy issue should be looked into critically before an announcement was to be made. Now, because the government has made an announcement and leave it open, the tigers and the lions in the oil and gas industry, the mafias are beginning to manipulate the whole structure. So that even marketers are trying to tell Dangote, you cannot sell at lower price. This is greed. This is greed going on, because these people are trying to put us in a box, put every Nigerian in a box so that nobody can say a word. That's the truth. The oil and gas sector is a mafia-driven sector, both from exploration down to the upstream. Everything is all about cabals. So that's why the government needed to, because that PIA Act was to help Nigerians. It was supposed to help Nigerians, but we found out that the implementation of the PIA Act is very, very poor. And that's where that's where NNPC and the regulators need to come in and they need to find a way so that Nigerians can benefit. This is a country that has crude, and yet we are not fine. We can't have petrol in our filling stations. We can't even buy it. It's a mess. So the NNPC and the regulators and the government needs to step up and find a way and put a stop to this unnecessary price variations and price war going on. We need to get Nigeria working, and we need Nigerians to be able to buy the price. Like my counterpart said, the increase is 50%. It's almost 100%. Now, if you are going to put this in perspective to what we have been suffering in the past 1 year, more than a year now since this announcement was made concerning fuel subsidy, we are going to have another inflation coming up. You're going to have people selling things astronomical. It's so funny. It's so funny that Nigeria, a country that produces crude oil, has only one refinery that is functional, and that refinery that is functional is owned by a private sector. It's a funny thing. And the other Nigeria has 4 refineries. These 4 refineries, none is working. If we have at least 2 refineries working and other private sector, there will be competitiveness. Now, because there is only one refinery working, we have that same monopoly still playing up. If NNPC is going to give to Goa 350,000 metric barrels to refine, give to Port Harcourt refinery about 300,000 barrels to refine, I can tell you with all honesty, we won't be having this talk we're having here in the media. Because everybody will be, there will be different discussions from different refineries. And everybody will be putting up that price war, that price differential. And we will have a competition where people will say, okay, I will sell at 500. The truth is that they are putting us in a box. Both the marketers, both Dangote, they are all putting us in a box. That is why I emphasize and I say it with every sense of humility that Dangote is trying to find a way to put everybody in a box where we will all fall down to a stone.
Well, Mr. Emeka Chuks, we thank you for your time on the program. I'm afraid time would not permit for us to go any further. However, we appreciate you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. Chuks Emeka from Lagos, joining us over the phone, has lamented the monopoly, which he calls it, in his terms, in terms of the relationship between the NNPCL, the sole buyer and importer of petrol, as vis-a-vis Dangote refinery. Now, there are also calls from Ipman and Petrowan for transparency in pricing, saying that the current practice would only justify the importation of refined petrol into the country. This is also seen ahead of the Edo election, less than 4 days away, where INEC has had to review its personnel contract with transporters in line of the new price hike. And many are saying this should not deter election materials from arriving on time for inspection. Well, this is about the size of our conversation for our main topic of the day, as we've looked at the NNPCL, Dangote refinery, and the future of Nigeria's fuel supply. Be reminded that you can rewatch this episode on our YouTube channel at ADBN TV. We'll take a break now, and when we resume, we'll turn our attention to the resumption of one of the elite football competitions in Europe, the UEFA Champions League, with games scheduled to be played this evening. Our Abuja Sports editor, Samuel Adeleke, will join the program to take you through ADBN Sports and more. Stay with us.
Step into the heartbeat of the world where news meets real talk. From breakthroughs in diplomacy to humanitarian challenges and scientific milestones, Global Digest takes you beyond the headlines and straight to the heart of the matter. I am Amma Marcus. Be a part of the world unfolding stories at 3 p.m. on ADBN, channel 258 on DSTV, and Star Times, channel 140. Global Digest, your window to the world's current affairs, only on Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Women Voices, where everyone has different opinion on different issues. It is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program